You good to go, sir? Beautiful. Okay, I'd like to call to order the Parks, Property and Streets Committee meeting on Monday, December 1st, 2025 at 1 p.m. Roll call. Housen here. Bordeaux here.
Arms here.
Bell here.
Okay, and I don't know about, Mike, unless he's late or just not coming, not sure. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting? Second. All in favor? Item 3, approve the minutes for the November 3rd, 2025 regular meeting. Do I have any edits or a motion to approve that agenda, the minutes, sorry?
Edits on page 3,
Mhm.
line 12. First word should be by consensus.
Oh, yeah.
On page 4, line 7, if the last sentence says Nelson offered to ask the Historical Society's curator, it should say John Nelson of the Historical Society, otherwise. I did not go back and listen to the tape, but regarding goose hunting on the Lagerquist property, I thought we had said no. Not that the committee decided to verify the ordinance change. Or language, excuse me, but it is chapter 34, section 34.2, discharge of dangerous weapons.
I thought we said no too. I don't recall going back and looking at the ordinance.
Yeah, I think we had said. We think the ordinance prohibits it anyway, but no.
What I recall, because I have this little sticky note, which I forgot to put in my upcoming things, was no, but we need to look at our ordinances to make sure that it's covered in, if not, amended.
Well, that's where it is, chapter 34, section 34.2, discharge of dangerous weapons.
Denise, what line, sorry, what line was that real quick?
414, page 4, line 14. Line 14 is the item.
And then still on page 4, on line 47, where it talks about the installation of the sign, I think we should notate that it's the historical sign. And then a question pertaining to page 5. About the annual Flower Pot Angels report. Did we send Sharon a letter?
We did not, and what I did was I did put that in the staff report of something that we had to.
Okay, because I did talk to her and I'd like to report on that.
Okay. Now or?
An hour later.
She said that, yes, Louise did call her, told her, about the decision. But that, Louise said, well, we'll find it somewhere in the budget for next year or something, don't worry about it. Because Sharon said if this would have been, she would have fought back hard on this. She feels that this is very different. And I don't want to get into too much detail. She is, we want to invite her to zoom in at next month's meeting and talk about this, face to face with us on what she told me, that we can hear it directly from her. Because she said she would never have accepted that, because she feels that it's different of being, because it's almost a daily thing. It's not just a once in a while volunteering thing. It's supplementing the Parks Department staff so they don't have to do it, and it's a big job. So.
I'm happy to hear from her. I'm willing to talk to her.
Okay, well, when we get to the matter to be placed on future agenda, let's talk about that.
Okay,
What we want to do.
sure. Anything else, please? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from November 3rd as amended? So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next up is item agenda 4, comments, correspondence, and concerns from the public. I don't think I saw anything in the packet.
It was not.
Okay, let's see, have anybody online besides me? Oh, we have 6, okay, let's see. Vivian Dino, okay. Hi, Ben. Ben Andrews is with us, you guys. Any comments from anybody online? Okay, hearing none. We will now move to agenda item 5, presentation, GIS demonstration from Megan Barnes, our utility director.
So I think for this, we might want to move a little closer to the screen and we'll shut some of the lights off, but Megan's been working on the Village Habanero GIS system. Well, we have one, but making one that has more information in it that can be maintained in-house to save money. We don't have a GIS coordinator, so we can't just have Megan do anything. What she has been doing though is putting on stuff for the Parks Department. So she's been putting on like a bench layer. And but our municipal code requires us to have an official sign map, which we don't have, so Megan's been working on that. For the record, she's been doing it at home on her own time, not as a utilities director. She's just into it, so she's been doing it. I did talk with Megan a little bit that that's not really right, and
No, I was just gonna bring that.
in the future, I think personnel should probably talk about, you know, is there a way to compensate her if she's gonna be maintaining all of this, because it is a lot. Like I said, we don't have anyone on staff, but it even paying her is cheaper than paying a consultant to do it. But the information is really valuable. It's something that you have to stay on to keep it current and updated. So I asked Megan, you know, if she could go to planning. I forgot to put her on the agenda last week, so she'll go hopefully next month or this coming meeting, but she has some really cool stuff. I thought that the Parks Committee would wanna, Parks Property and Streets Committee would wanna see. And so I asked her to do a demonstration. She's also working on the ability where the public can go into this and see everything that she's gonna show us. Right now, what the public has access to is the county's GIS system, just maps, right? Stat or the maps don't change. It's your soils map and parcel data. This is really cool though. This has more details. So what if we move up there?
Can I ask a question before we start?
Sure.
Megan, thank you for doing this, and I think that these are great things to try and do yourself. They can help you create whole new career. So congratulations, so please separate my question from the fact that I'm so impressed with what you've done. What I'm trying to understand is what is our objective here? Is this something that's been on the radar for the village? Are we doing this because Megan's invested her time in it? I'm trying to understand what the objective of this is.
Sure. I can help with that, Mike. So currently there's whenever we want something. So like Megan's department started using this for their sewer and water purposes. So when they go out to a property and they check, you know, the curb stop or something, they put it into a database, or they try. And let me back up. It was always on a little index card. And they have boxes and boxes of index cards. So if you want to know, hey, when was the curb stop? You saw that at Louise's house, you're gonna go through boxes and boxes of cards. Very expensive, very outdated. We've been talking for a number of years now about trying to get us up with technology, trying to get us further along. So, I'd say maybe about 3 years ago, we started talking with utilities, we started talking with Stantec. Is there any way that we can set a system where we can have these layers and maintain them ourselves? So that we can start putting some of this information on. So now her guys, when they're out, or her crew, I'm sorry, when they're out in the field, they take their phone, they pull it up, they can say, oh, there's supposed to be this is supposed to be right here, or, oh, it looks like this was updated here, or this was added here, or, hey, I'm at this property, and they can put the data in right away, and now they have a current layer, and they can, in one snapshot, see where all their, I'll use curb stops again as an example, where all their curb stops are, when they were updated, what, the information with that.
So again, so what I heard you say, and it's excellent, is Megan developed a tool to assist the water utility employees to do their job.
Correct.
What's the objective of this presentation?
So the objective here is to show you, how she is adding now the park stuff in there for us, and it's the park stuff she's been doing on her own. And I'll give a good example. We want to talk about the bench policy, so we're like, well, how many benches are there? Where are they? Who are they for? When do they expire? I don't know. So we started hunting around. We ended up having Eric, and Megan, I don't think you were with him, but Eric drove around, located all the benches. So now we at least, you could have a paper map, which gets lost again. Or you could have a layer. Right, and this is one where you can, at a click of a button, we can look at it and say, oh, here's a bench, this is who it's for, this is when it expires. We can send them a letter now telling them it's time to update their bench. Same thing with, municipal code requires us to have an official street or, street sign map. And we've been working, when I found that in the code about 3 years ago, I asked staff to start working on it. When they had time, they drive around, oh, here's a stop sign, here's a school bus, or slow down ahead sign, here's a curve sign, whatever. And you start putting it on a map, well, nobody can read that. So we can take that data.
Okay, we're getting into a lot of it's excellent. We're getting into a lot of detail here. So the objective is to look at, to consider the tool that Megan has established for the water utility for its usability for parks and other village services for digital tracking of required content management for the village of Sister Bay.
Right, we're trying to bring ourselves up to the 20%.
All right, so at the end of this, are we gonna be asked for a budget consideration?
We're not.
Oh, okay, is this just informational?
This is information to let you know how we have advanced and how we want to
Okay,
maintain stuff, so it's easier for us to find. And I think it's good for the public to know what we're doing for them.
all right, thank you, Megan. Are you gonna, will we be able to see this on our screens or?
Here.
Yeah, you're gonna.
I think if you-
Well, I can pull it up.
Yeah, let's hold it up on Zoom and that's there.
All right, so I'm Megan Barnes, and I got into GIS, really deep last year. And I wanted to find a way to make the GIS work for us that are doing the job. Because if you have a consultant set up by GIS, they're just going through what everybody else has, right? So when I was creating it, I really wanted to use the verbiage we use, the exact metrics that we use. I can organize everything in the categories that, you know, attracts my eye. So if I'm looking for the address first, I can put it first, where if another company is managing it, you can't do that. So that's kind of the whole background as to why, we really wanted to start doing this in-house to make it really beneficial for the people that are actually using it. So I started with the utility stuff, creating layers and everything on there, and then I realized how beneficial it would be for everybody to start utilizing this technology. So I created a few just base layers, that didn't take much time at all. Because I already had most of this data uploaded, but some of the layers I've been uploading the data as I go. So when you open the map, and this looks the same, when the guys in the Parks Department open their phones as well, there's a mobile app that they can go in and see all the same information. So when you open it, it just pops up with this. It gives you your little base map so you can see the aerial. You can change all that information if you want to when you're using the map. And you would just go to the little base map button here and you can choose from all of these various maps. But that's not really important because we want the data on the map, don't really care what it looks like too much. So I created the municipal boundary is what you see on the screen right now, just the red line around the village of Sister Bay. So that gives you a general bearing of where you are when you're working in this database. And then if you zoom in a little bit more, it becomes populated with all the parcel IDs. So you can click any of these parcels and all of its information will pop up. Parcel ID information, tax information, and that's all pulled directly from the county's GIS database. So that all updates with their system as well. So I'll turn those off just so we can see things again. And then I also created in here a where to put property documents. So say Eric gets a call that somebody wants to purchase a memorial bench. He can go to the residence of that, individual and click the dot and then, actually put a document in there to save that under the parcel number itself. So if you're looking for documents related to parcel, I mean, driveway permits can be put in there, zoning information can be put in there, any culvert permits, any sort of property document that relates to a specific parcel. So each parcel has one of those little dots, so everything can be organized based on their actual geographic location. And then those layers can all just be hidden. If you don't want to see them, you just close the little eye off. So that's what I did for the administrative layers on the Parks Department GIS. And then since they're the Parks Department, I also put the road information in there. So I did a road and right of way layer. Should just take a minute. So it pops up with all the roads, the names are displayed, and then the right of ways are highlighted, so you can still see through. And then there's also different symbols for DOT road, Village of Sister Maggie Road, and then there's private roads are the dash lines. So you have that variation, visually see the difference in your metrics that you're looking at. So helpful tool there. This is the traffic sign layer that I've been working on. I'm still uploading some of the symbols, but I'm going through and making the signs look like they look in real life. So a stop sign actually looks like a little stop sign. And then street signs look like street signs. So I'm gonna do that consistently for the whole street map database.
Megan, are those GIS coordinates? Somebody actually went out there to the GIS coordinate?
Yep.
So they're,
Oh, here it is. Yep, exactly. And then, two, I have the street poles on there as well, so we can keep track of our maintenance of those poles as well. It has all the information, what material it is, if it needs replacement, what year it was inspected, all of that, important information in the poles as well. And then I also put the pavement rankings in here. These were last updated in 2024, however, so I still need to update the current year. But again, you have color coordinated, so you know which areas you're visually attracted to the areas, by being able to visualize those differences just from a color. And then there's also, you can put your legends on, so you know exactly what colors are coordinating to which. So that's very helpful as well.
let me interrupt you real quick, just so people don't know. So a pavement rating is something that we have to do for the state, and it shows which roads are worse, which ones are better. What are your good ones, what are your bad ones? And it's a tool that you can use to help identify which roads you should be focusing on.
Can we attach documents to stretches of roads to say, you know, when it was last paved or
Yeah.
surfaced, or so that could really form a road inventory of what current condition, when it was last maintained, and we could actually maybe someday get to a projected, this road will be due for this in 5 years, like
Yeah.
budget for it.
Yeah, and also too, what I did in the utilities department, I actually just created maintenance cycle maps. So for each year, each operator has their own map. And they have all of their hydrants and their valves that they are responsible for maintaining for that year. And they just have their section on the map, so it's very easy to see where they're going and what they're doing. And no other distractions, nothing else is on there except for those structures. And then once they open, if they go to a hydrant and open the maintenance log in that layer, they enter the information on that date as they do the maintenance, and then they save it. And then the actual little visual graphic, the little hydrant that I put in there, it disappears. So then they know that they can move on to the next one, and that one's no longer there. It's been contained for the year. So it creates almost like it's a fun way to do your job, because it's like you're chasing that bait. You see your map slowly getting cleared, and it makes it like a visual gratification kind of. So that's another thing that you could do with like tree maintenance, sign maintenance, just create a layer for every year, so you have a solid database and it makes it like a game, kind of.
Well, I was just thinking historically, we've kind of struggled to project and budget maintenance for roadways, and this could form the basis for. Being able to have an accurate budget instead of, oh shoot, we need to do this
Yeah.
road now.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
And that also factors in, because once all these layers are set up, you have all the metrics in there. So say, I take my road layer, I wanna know what roads are projected to be replaced in the CIP in the next 10 years. I can put all that information in here and then it would actually, you could actually, query every year to give you the exact footage of the total amount of roads that you have projected for that replacement. And then it would be really easy to budget your number then based off of that total number.
Yeah, that's great.
So then that's the pavement rankings. So yeah, I still have to go through here and put different layers for the different years. I have to organize all the data, but it is in there for just 2024 is in there for now. And then I created the memorial bench layer. And then Eric went out and did the site survey for me. So they look like little benches and I put the dedication name that is on them on top. And when Eric went out and did the site survey, I also included the option to put a picture in there. So he put a picture of each bench in there as he went to them. And then I've been updating the information in the data in the Excel data that we have to correlate with the benches that we found on site. So that's just one example of what I've done with the benches so far. I'm also gonna go through and create a numbering system for the memorial benches once this is done. And then I've noticed as I'm entering this data that a lot of the memorial benches are technically expired, I believe, because I think they're only supposed to be there for 10 years. So that is one layer that I can do is create another layer where the benches that need to be, like, have a letter sent out to follow up on if they want to repay for the bench or not. I can create a layer that'll have those benches pop up as red, so we know which ones need to be contacted.
Megan, can I ask a question? This GIS template, are you using the template from the county, or is this another app that you purchased that links with the county GIS, because it looks just like it?
Oh, this is just ArcGIS is just a basic app that most people create their databases through.
Okay,
So ArcGIS is a big platform where people create things for other organizations.
did you have to go through any process to link what you're doing here with the county data? Or like,
I just had a meeting with the county coordinator
and they
he
gave
said
you
that.
access?
Was that a one-time dump or is that linked to their layer?
He just sends me the most current one. If he updates it, I just have to reach out and get the newest one.
So you didn't have to buy software to start this, you're using an existing template. And then you're basically populating it with the content data that you're collecting?
Well, because it's not a template because you're creating everything from the start. Like I created even the base map, the way that it looks.
Okay.
So you're not really, no version of it is a template. There are template versions that some municipalities use for very basic stuff. But otherwise, it's fully curated. I mean, I could change anything. I could change the color of the words on this just to make it look different. I mean, you have complete control over what you want your database to look like, so.
And are we okay because it's all publicly available information, so we don't have to worry about
Yeah.
what we put out?
Yeah, the only thing that I'm not putting on the public deck, once this does go live, the only thing that won't be on there will be the utility location information. I'm not legally allowed to share that because somebody could, get that information and harm the utility. But I did create, preparing for the fact that planning commission would want to know where the sewer and water service area is. I did create a layer that shows the actual service area, so you can visually see it. You just can't see where the assets are, but you can see the service area.
Megan, this is the web version. I think it's the web version. I can't help because I can't see the whole window, but this is the web
Yeah,
version.
this is just the web version I'm on right now. Yep.
So there's a subscription fee for ArcGIS. It's not inexpensive, but it's not that much for what you get for it.
Okay,
But it is.
And don't we have to have it anyway though, or not?
I mean, the other option would be to do the index cards and all that we've been doing. I mean, I guess you can do that. It's just, it's not, we have to.
Yeah,
We
okay.
effectively. need-
Yeah, I'm not worried. I just wanted to understand, so. That means if there's a license before it, somebody else is maintaining the details of that document, we're just putting in what we want to track and manage.
So our GIS hosts all the data for us on their web platform.
Okay.
And then they manage the users, and I think at least most versions are user based, so how many users you have
Yep,
has a big impact on your, and it's thousands a year, I think.
thank you, thank you.
So is there an internal versus external layer? Like, could we, or could you, I guess not, we drop the applications from Memorial Bench and then have that attached to the bench? I'm not sure if we'd want to release the application publicly, but we at least have it internally, so we could go through our benches in the future and see, okay,
Yeah.
here's the application and all the info about it.
Yeah, that would totally be possible. I mean, I can create as many dashboards as we desire. So right now I have the utility dashboard, I have the Parks Department, I have the administrative one, and then I have the public one. So if we wanted to do like a trustee one with a little bit more information that the public can't see, that would totally be possible.
Yeah, like a read only though, so
Yeah.
you couldn't actually edit anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that is the other thing. If it's like a public application, you can't edit anything or you can't change anything, but you can visually click stuff and see stuff, but you can't make any edits. So that's the memorial bench, and then the last thing I have is
I'm
the
sorry,
tree
one other
inventory. So I'm still working on this one. I'm just working on updating, the little graphics and stuff to make them look like different little trees. That's fun. But yeah, so it's really cool. I think it's a really good, tool to, see things differently. Because when you have a bunch of, I mean, if, again, utilities, I'm a utilities girl. We have 200 something hydrants. Imagine keeping 200 logs of maintenance logs every year sorted, and they're not numbered right, and everything's jumbled around. So it makes things a lot easier. It makes things visually pleasing. It tells you where things are and what they are just from looking at one thing. And it tells you multiple different aspects just from looking at, one map. I showed you a lot of different aspects just from one application. So I think it's a very useful tool, and I think there's only growth in it, honestly. I mean, you can do STR stuff on here. It's endless, the stuff you could do, so.
So road grading data is something right now we use on paper all the time because it tells us what year the road was repaired and how much of that was repaired, which I think you already have in there.
Mhm.
And then we have that tree inventory we did a couple of years ago, which we need in the Parks Department. We manage, like if there's an outbreak, like an elm disease or something, we can easily see where are elms, we can pinpoint them right away. Rather than driving out to all of our properties searching for elms, we know where those trees are. And then the other
So
thing, Meg,
can I just, I know we're gonna get you, there's a million things we can do with this, totally get it. And it's great. It seems like kind of the next steps are the important thing here, and one question I would have is, and maybe this is a job for our new administrator, but you probably need to have prioritized what gets worked on here, and then you probably need to understand what the resources are. Can you do this? Do we need to get somebody else to do it? Can we have interns help you? Seems like those are the big questions now.
Yep.
And it seems like you worked out all the hard stuff, which is the process to take advantage of this, which is very impressive work.
Thank you.
am I glad you said that? Because we have already done that. We have prioritized what needs to be done.
And,
first.
and how does that get reviewed? And I suppose the new administrator may have to reconsider that, right?
Could be, the way we work things with the department heads is we sit down with the department heads and we identify together what is pressing. There's a new state law that says, for example, you have to do something to your bridges within 3 months. That identifying those bridges takes a priority over putting benches on the map.
Agreed.
So we do it together as a team.
So can the Parks Committee or the board see the prioritized list? And do we know the resources that are required to make this happen?
A prior,
The prioritized list, I mean, so let's as an
We
example
don't have a
say,
list written down.
okay, I thought that's what you just said.
We do, we talk about things, we sit in meetings, like what is most important to get on here now, what do we need? And those are the ones that float to the top.
So Megan, I have one quick question. I'm not sure how long you have. We decided that you can stay for the meeting, but since one of, I think the next thing we're gonna talk about is commemorative benches and taking a look at current inventory. And I don't think that these are numbered, but that's okay. But can you go back to that? Thanks. Okay. And so that we get a bird's eye view of,
Yeah.
because we're gonna talk about locations and where we might have room for them.
Oh, yeah, and I can stay until you guys talk about the memorial benches, so I can just, stay and then I can show you the map as.
Okay, well, that's, I mean, that's the next item up.
Oh.
So it would be, so what I'm looking at now and what's up on the screen, there's nothing to the north, right? The most further north is no, it's not, okay. So if you can get us all of those.
You wanna see these?
Oh, so it goes up to, gotcha, okay.
Goes up to.
Looks like. Yeah, but as far as, well, yeah, it goes up to Spring Road, okay, or, and then on the water, okay. All right, that would be, this is helpful, because that's what we were gonna look at, right, was where are they? Forget about, I mean, part of it's how many do we have, we have a moratorium on them right now. Sorry, moving on to the next agenda item, so,
But
any
Megan,
more discussion on the GIS map?
on this one, Megan, do you have a specific ask? I mean, what's in your head about how we should go forward from here?
I guess I don't really have an ask, cause this is just something I would be willing to do for. I guess the other departments, I don't have like a high priority list on this one because my priority list is the hydrants and the valves and that stuff, so if you guys want more stuff on here, I would be more than happy to work and do more things. But I need that kind of priority list from you guys and the information that you're looking for. Cause I know what information I'm uploading, what I'm putting in, the information I'm looking for when, like, the guys are maintaining the hydrants, but I don't know what information, you know, Eric's looking for when the guys are maintaining a bench or, any like short-term rental information. I don't know what you guys would be looking for with that, so I would need a very.
Yep.
It would be an interactive process between the person that's gonna be using the system and then me.
That makes sense.
And that crosses a couple committees and then to a certain extent. maybe
Yeah.
board. So that's probably for future, but it's all things to consider.
Yeah.
So bravo, you did a great job. Nice job, very.
So a concern I have is, Megan, I get you, you're enjoying doing this now. At some point in the future,
Mhm.
this is gonna be a burden, it's going to be expected of you. And I've been in that situation where like, okay, great, I'm learning this, I'm doing all this stuff for you. But now, a year down the line, 2 years down the line, it's like, why didn't Megan get this done in a timely manner? Because that has me a little bit concerned.
Yeah,
That
that is one of my concerns too.
I think that you've also identified and acknowledged your biases, you're seeing it from the utilities angle, and there's more than utilities on this.
Mhm.
So I applaud you for that, but that's a concern I have moving forward is, this is fun for a while.
Mhm.
And learning is a lot of fun, but once it's drudgery, I think that it's important. We keep that in mind, and we also realize you're extremely valuable as utilities director, and this plays right into it, you getting to be better at GIS is gonna make you a better utilities director. But at some point, we probably should have somebody else take care of this, because this is departments.
Yeah.
At other government entities,
Yeah.
at the county, Zach is the head of GIS, but I think there's even more than,
Yeah, it's a team usually in most places, yeah. Yeah, and that was gonna be the one thing I was gonna say is I'd be willing to do like a couple of, of the littler projects, but if there's big projects like redoing the whole village zoning. I'm not gonna be able to do that. So it's a give and a take.
Right, and this all started out with Stantec offering to do it for us, and we thought, well, some of this we can and should do in-house. Once those layers are set, if we need somebody to maintain them, we can contract with Stantec through our MSA to do that, so.
Yeah.
Or have other staff that.
Yeah,
But-
And too, even if you have me start to create a few things and I'm working on it and you decide to go a different route, all that information is easily uploadable into somebody else's system. You can just send them the Excel file and they can go away and do their own thing with the information as well, so.
I think there's probably also more affordable options than Stantec, because I've worked with a couple of independent GIS consultants all over. I mean, so many people work in ArcGIS.
Right.
There's a lot of people out there that can do it, and some of the challenges getting into a rhythm with that person, because you have to figure out how you're getting that information, once you have that set. There's a lot of different options out there, and I don't know the statistics to be the best option, but when we do look at going outside of that, when this is becoming, a burden on Megan, and when it stops being fun, and please tell us when it stops being fun. I think that we should just be very comprehensive when we look at it, not just say, okay, we're gonna farm something.
Yeah, I guess I just bring that up because those, the GIS, one of the GIS people at Stantec is the one who actually built the original county layer many, many years ago. And we have an agreement with Stantec where they do work for us up to a certain dollar amount every month. So if it's a matter of just up or maintaining a layer, like, hey, we have 3 new benches, can you, at the end of summer, you have 3 new benches, can you update the layer? Yeah, they can do that easily for us. Versus having somebody doing GIS all the time. I mean, the stuff for the parks is literally just updating the database is what it is, and it shouldn't be a very time consuming exercise, so. And you're right, we could give that to someone else. I mentioned Stantec because they're the ones who helped set it up. They're very familiar with it. They're actually putting, they have a lot of the information that we use in exchange. They know where our sewer and water laterals are as well. They are one of our engineers, of course. So it makes sense to work with a partner who helped form it, but yeah, we could send that out to anybody.
What dollar partner who we could trust? I mean, yeah, I don't know how much you can, like, could you lock anybody out who's updating a certain layer from, messing with anything in the utilities?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you can restrict accessibilities on anything.
Okay.
Megan, I think you did a great job on this. I think we'd be foolish not to leverage your expertise. You obviously team well with Eric. I think your ask was very legitimate, that we have to come up with a priority. You might be able to give us some guidance. And it probably wouldn't even be a bad idea to have you involved if we look at hiring others, or maybe even bringing in some Gibraltar interns to load data. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there.
Yeah. Yeah,
But-
and even if you wanted to go the intern route, I'd be more than willing to show people around. I mean, I figured all this out on my own, so I love to learn things, so.
Yeah, Thank you very much
Yeah.
for the extra effort.
What's so our contract with Stantec, how much per month?
We have a standing agreement where we pay up to $3,000 a month for no matter what we need. So let's say, a color collapses and we need to know, hey, where should we pitch it? They'll go over there, they'll.
So we just don't know what's coming up, but in either case.
Yeah, they're like a on-call
Gotcha.
engineer.
All right, okay, so we probably need to determine like from an admin, like just an entry standpoint, how much is it, how many hours is that and what do they charge an hour? I don't know.
Yeah.
So we need to,
And I don't think we're there yet. The purpose of this was to let you guys know, we're trying to
Sure.
modernize everything. We've got information at our fingertips now to make better educated decisions. And Megan's been working with Eric to make sure we have those layers. So
Okay.
it's there if we need it.
okay. Let's see, I'm gonna close out 5A and then we're gonna go to 6A, which.
Thank you, Megan.
Thank you, Megan. Amazing, thank you. 6A, which is our bench policy fee and also consideration of additional locations. So. We have the map. Do we want to tackle the policy first? And see if that needs to be amended? Because currently it is, we have them, there's a moratorium. Julie's notes states that we have a moratorium on new applications until the policy's been reviewed and updated. Got the GIS map, which is we show placement. The waiting list is updated and we've got 2 outstanding bench requests in the packet. I think you guys may remember what those were. So do we wanna tackle any changes to the policy first? Anyone have changes they wanna make to the policies?
I'm in general, and I understand that this is something that has been discussed in past parks. it puts us in a challenging place. To decide what's significant, what's not significant for the village. I don't know if it's a great place to be. The other thing. I would look at is what do these benches cost us? And also, is it fair to put that burden on staff to say, okay, after 10 years, you have to remember and reach out to somebody? Or do we send them after they get their bench, say, okay, this is what you have to do in 10 years. You have to reach out to us if you want to keep this going and put that burden on them.
Well, let's start with the first question. How much are the benches?
$1,000.
So they're $1,000, and we don't have any backup plain benches sitting anywhere, right?
Does that include pouring a concrete slab?
Oh, so I heard $1,000, that's what we're charging for this. What does it
No,
cost?
how much does the benches cost us,
Oh.
including installation? Eric,
It all depends on the spot and location. I mean, you could have landscaping going into that.
well, aim high.
If something's gotta be dug out,
Also, we
probably,
calculated it was about $1,000 including the labor.
was it?
Yeah, now that may, materials have gone up, so.
Yeah. I don't know, I haven't done a refresh on benches. I do. The committee wanted a refresh on picnic tables yearly, but I haven't done one on benches in quite some time. So,
When's the last time we bought benches?
well, I think last year, well, no, 2 years ago.
So they've gone up.
2 years ago, but I've never actually bought the framing. So that is probably going up a lot. So what I typically will do is I'll repurpose,
Mhm.
we'll sandblast it and then repaint.
So
'Cause
my
it-
guess would be that installed is at least 1,500.
Well, they
Bought
install
them
them
for 2 years.
themselves.
I know, but there's still their hours.
Before the
Oh,
slabs are
I
so?
mean, what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do have.
What it
I thought
costs
you
us.
meant paint, but yeah.
No, but yeah, because it's got to be, I mean, just the bench alone's got probably gone up 20%.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
I didn't buy any last year because we didn't have any.
So it's probably 1,500. So first of all, we need to be charged more for the benches.
Yeah, and that's why we have the fee on here, because it's something that we haven't looked at in a while.
So that's one question. The next one is, are you suggesting then that it's a first come, first serve?
No, I mean, like, it's a sticky place to be when we're deciding what's significant, what's not, that puts us.
Well, we have to decide. It's either, the committee says, okay, you're deserving, or it's first come, first serve.
Is there a third party? That's what I wondered when I read through this. Is there a third party that would be somewhat independent of the village who could, based on criteria from this policy, make that decision with a little bit of help? Because I would
The help
agree, I
would come
mean,
from us.
Would Sister Bay Historical be an option for that?
I guess, Louise,
I
the
don't know if
concern,
we've got the time to do it, but
well, the concern is when you turn somebody down, we have to be able to clearly articulate why they weren't as significant as someone else. And I kind of in the same place Nate is, that's a tricky proposition. I don't know exactly how you do that unless we have,
It's not really that tricky.
well, I think it is.
Because the way that when we developed this years ago, we wanted to tell the story of Sister Bay, and we even talked about once we got to a point that we could even do QR codes on some of the benches. And that some of the benches would even just be like the fire of 1912. And when it demolished, most of Sister Bay, and what that story is and how we link into it, whether it's through the Historical Society or whatever. But the conversation at the time was, just because you owned a house here and paid taxes here, which we got a lot of those in the past, did not qualify, was not telling the story of Sister Bay. When someone has not volunteered, been in an organization, been involved in the village government, or whatever, it's very clear who, when you read them, who should have a bench and who shouldn't. we never found it tricky.
Yeah, I would agree with Denise. I don't think this is that hard to judge.
So you listed a number of things there. I think that would be better than just saying I have a direct affiliation with.
Well, okay, we can be more specific, but it's item 1 under policy statements. And in listening to Denise, she basically said exactly what this says, maybe not it can be more concise, it could be bullet points. So you have to have done, let's just say this, you have to have, the criteria is you must, but you need to be, the individual or the business or whatever must, it needs to, like, 3 of the 5 components, 3 of 5. So, you know, where you lived here for whatever length of time. Historical-
Committee.
So I think that needs to be, if we made that more specific.
So you just put a comma after contributions
So
to our committee, comma.
And maybe it's, so then it also gives parks a little bit more leeway, so 3 of the 5. That's, you got minimum 3 of the 5, preferably 5, or 4, or, you know. Because you're right, I've only seen them for about a year and a half, and it's hard, I know it's hard, I know.
There's a
But
way of,
how do we
taking-
say no? How do we say yes to everybody?
maybe there is a way to say this to everybody in considering the village's zones, think of the waterfront park area as. Those are the ones that have to check all the boxes because
Oh, I see.
they're. Front and center, they're representing Sister Bay, that's where the most tourists are going to see and read and go, okay. Here's some people who represented Sister Bay's history.
Okay.
And then look at places like Pebble Beach or the sports complex or by the library or wherever else as, okay, maybe you didn't make the cut for being a key prominent historical part of Sister Bay, but you do want to have a memorial bench, then the sports complex or Pebble Beach or however we'd zone it might make sense. And then it doesn't become you either meet these criteria or no bench. It's, yes, you get a bench, but here are your options for placing it.
And that's why we did the picnic table thing too. That if you
Yeah.
didn't meet the criteria,
There are plaques on picnic tables. Yep. Okay, so I think what I'm hearing is that we make item 1 more specific. I'm fine with areas. You know, I'm okay with that. I don't wanna make this any more complicated than it already is. It's pretty straightforward, to tell you the truth, but we could do that. Yes, I definitely think we need to raise the price based on what it's costing us to purchase and install them.
So what is our goal with that price? Is it to? I
At
think it
least
should be-
break even on it.
I think that we should aim to have a very modest, I don't want to say profit, we should have slightly more money coming in than going out.
Well, let's say they're $1,500 and you wanna make 10% on them, okay?
Well, but it's not just make 10%, it's covering Eric and Crew's time to check on them and
So
do the
maintenance,
things over
you're
time.
talking about.
So
for
it
10
wouldn't,
years, and
so it wouldn't be making anything on them, it's more
whether it's
covering the cost.
pressure washing them, or I don't know what the update is on the,
Okay,
like,
so-
forget it.
Purchase price, installation and maintenance, what is that? Got it. So I'm sure there's a formula for once they're installed, what the maintenance percentage would be. I know there's a formula someplace for that. So whatever it is, we can apply it and that's what it's gonna cost. It could be, you guys over, 10 years, right? Something like that, could be two grand.
Maintenance, you could look at it 2 different ways, that we would have to do it anyway. As part of the amenities in our village, giving people places to sit. So whether somebody bought the bench or the village put a bench somewhere, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
So you can use it, you can not use it, depends on your perspective.
All right, so Eric, we need a price. How much are they costing right now? You bought, not right, no. I don't need right now. I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. So let's say that we bought 5 or whatever. Reach out to some vendors, see how much they cost.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
put some numbers together
Yeah,
for
put
you
the
guys.
numbers together, find out how much they cost, calculate what the installation would be. And then, I don't know, if you're spending an hour a year for one bench to maintain it, are you? I don't know. but let's say you are, apply that hourly wage to that bench. And then we have it. And if we buy more than 5 benches at a time, can we get them cheaper? Cause the other piece is, now that we know how many benches we have, we have a map that says, okay, this is what's available in terms of space. Do we want to, I mean, is there a finite number of benches that we, spaces that we have left? Where it makes sense, or do we want to just
I think
keep that
also
open?
in the future, I think when the 57 trail goes through, I think that we will want to have rest stops. So I think that there will be
Right.
room for some additional.
Yeah.
Out there. Now, is that as high of visibility as the waterfront? No. Where would you rank that if there's a lot of people using it? I don't know. But there could be probably quite a few rest stops.
So Jerry, in your proposal, you have to meet a hurdle rate as defined by this policy to get the preferred locations. In the second tier, it's just a matter of paying the price.
That's the way I'm thinking of it, and anybody that doesn't make the first tier,
And qualify.
Or it could be 3 tiers.
if you wanna make it more
I
complicated.
mean, I think it's waterfront park and it's the other places.
That's the way I'm thinking of it, but we could, if we
See, but I'm
wanted to be a
thinking
little
as
more
the
precise. we
sports
could.
complex continues to evolve and the new skating
Yeah,
rink.
once the rink's there, there'll be a couple more benches.
And a community center there.
Yeah.
That will,
They'll be
I think,
higher
elevate it,
business.
other, you know,
Are there gonna
not
be,
past the waterfront, but certainly I think that would become more of a tier of itself.
are we gonna charge differently? Cause if we're not gonna charge differently,
Yeah,
okay, so the tier 1 will cost more than the tier 2?
Yep.
Like double?
I just think it would have to, the bench should still just cost the
Yeah,
same.
I personally
what you were
would,
talking about was
The
the,
criteria.
oh, the
The
criteria.
criteria is more strictly enforced.
I thought we were talking about both. Okay.
No.
Well, I mean,
yeah, I was thinking the
that's-
same
It's fine.
place.
That's fine.
I mean, I don't. Yeah, I think it's something that's worth considering, especially once we figure out what these benches are actually costing. I mean, if they're costing us $5,000 each, yeah, we're not gonna have,
Yeah, we are.
there's not,
Still.
well, I'm just saying, like,
Okay.
we can finish that conversation once we have those numbers put in there.
Okay, so these would be just like the ones we have now, so a high quality, gonna last, they're cedar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're white cedar.
But do we wanna talk about the bench itself? I mean, the frame's just ugly.
Okay, I don't really. I remember we having a real problem with the frame, but if there's other frame options, I guess. I don't know, it just does.
Before I forget, I also think that we need to think about office staff time in this too, because there's office time that goes into these benches.
Okay. All right,
Well, maybe Eric, when you're getting the prices, you can go with some price options, maybe
Different frames.
there's different frames.
there's probably, yeah, you're right. there can't
Just
be
as long as they're super durable.
all like that powdered, whatever that, right?
I mean, I was just thinking. You know, if we don't, I don't know if I don't think we've made the decision yet about the historical sign and, are we gonna do the stonework or are we gonna do that
Right.
black thing?
Yeah.
So I was just thinking that it's a natural bench. I don't think we wanna change that, But if we had a black frame that would just think that they look a little outdated and not fresh with the current frame that they're on.
I agree with Denise, not about that specifically, because I haven't looked at a bench close enough, but one of the things that I think is interesting about Sister Bay is it's not cohesive when you go, and we're trying to do that, right? This committee's been really trying to work at having more, if we're gonna have limestone, trying to incorporate it in different areas, or if you're gonna have something with black supports, then they should all have black supports, so it looks like you're a thought out, well-planned village versus a hodgepodge of decisions made at a committee and staff just goes on. So it does look better when you're trying to make it all uniform. And some of those benches are pretty old, so it would make sense to upgrade the supports on them so everything matches.
And March and
cohesive.
Ron's right on the sidewalk. I don't know if you put on the wet and forget on that, but they are horrible. And they are right there. Downtown.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that, I'm just like.
Did
that
you put
cohesion
wet and
is
forget on
important.
those, Eric?
Which ones are you
The
talking?
March and Ron's?
The ones right across from Stud Ward, right, that butt up against those hedges.
Where we're gonna put the little
Probably,
library,
I think all of them got it,
All of them got it?
yeah.
it might just be that old. The benches.
Okay, so you wanna look for some other, frames
Yeah,
as well?
we'll see if they got any
Don't-
options
I
out
mean,
there, for
like,
material.
A couple
that
different
are
options,
used.
don't, like, not too many.
So it sounds like we're saying.
There might not be many options out there unless you're gonna have to switch your building material. Cause that's a very specific type of frame that fits that wood. So we'll
Eric,
see.
Remind me, we could ask the woman who's doing the supports for the sign to see who she uses to see if they also have a bench frame. To try and have them.
My
Yeah.
suggestion would be that we buy them from somebody who already does these outdoor benches, because there's not that many manufacturers, they make a gajillion of them. Probably not gonna get better priced ones than going with somebody who's got volume. If we customize these things, we might find that we have to charge $5,000-$10,000 to install.
Okay, well, you've got the resource from that we've used before, right?
Yeah, I think they pulled them out of a catalog that I got.
Okay,
And then I got the lumber yard, so I'll contact him.
yeah, well, I mean, Sturgeon Bay has them, that's a large municipality, I think Ephraim, if you wanna contact your counterparts at other places too, then.
Yeah, I'll see if I can come up with some different frames, if they
Okay.
make them for that type of material, and then, put some numbers together.
Do you wanna keep going with the same wood you have, or maybe use like that,
AP, whatever,
that Dave was
the
talking
marina,
about,
at the
which is-
marina's using? Yeah, I
Or
know.
a composite, I'm not advocating for composite, but I'm just saying, we wanna do something that looks better, so we don't continue to have issues where they look really worn out.
Well, I wanna answer that, but I also wanna go back. Have we ever considered? And I don't, about concrete ends. You know, old benches, and where you could put your wood, it slid right in. I have no idea, I mean, they have to be poured, bought that way. Have we considered that? And if we had that, because they're so heavy, would we not then have to pour a slab everywhere we want a bench?
Oh, I know what you mean.
It
I know.
seems like we're getting a little off track here. I mean, I get it, that we need to have a discussion about the benches. But this agenda item is on the topic of the policy. And I've heard a couple of things. One, we want to update the pricing. We need to get pricing in order to get pricing, right? We need to know what it costs us in order to properly price it. And the second thing is, I think the suggestion Jerry's made, which I don't know that we've approved, is to change the policy so that it's a two-tiered policy. Maybe based on price, maybe just based on determined significance of someone's contribution to the village. Those are the two things I think we have to decide here for this agenda item. Maybe there's others, but. I
Well,
think
but
that,
I think if we're looking at possibly a different direction and asking Eric to get some additional information,
which we did,
you know.
he's gonna do
different
that.
Frames, some concrete will all. That all has to
I
do
mean,
with
if you
price.
see concrete that looks like it's fairly reasonable, do you know which ones we mean? They're.
They're
old.
the ends that the
Yeah, they're
boards just
straight.
fit in,
Yeah.
Yep,
basically,
You know,
yeah.
I mean, if you see them and they look reasonable,
Well, doesn't Ephraim have concrete and they still put a slab?
I don't remember. Oh, they're on a slab.
They're on
No,
a
I think what
slab.
Denise is saying though is that the
might
actual
we be
seat.
able to not do that? Maybe some places we'd still have to pour a slab to set them down, but maybe not everywhere.
If you don't want the
Depending
frost
upon
to impact them,
placement.
you're gonna have to pour footing. They put footings under tombstones.
Okay, so you're gonna do that, and then this would be a future agenda item.
Sure, yeah, I'll get some numbers, updated pricing for you.
Okay, at which point then we can finalize pricing. And then we'll take another look at the GIS and see what other additional. What we still have outstanding are those two requests. Besides those, do we have another backlog?
No, those
No,
are the only
Those
two
are
we
the two
have.
that are outstanding.
However, we do have, now that we have the data, we do have to reach out to the ones that have expired and say,
Okay,
hey, you're done.
okay.
Talk to me before you do that, because Heidi did send out some letters to some people.
Right, and then I know there was an issue with one of them, and then from what Sarah and I can tell is, then it just stopped, we just stopped. Ask or contact.
And I think we may have a waiting list as well. I don't know.
That's what I wanted about.
I was trying to work through it.
Okay, so if we could report on that as well next week, great. I'm assuming we give them like 30 days to respond or something, I don't know. But
Okay. And then just so you know too, if you do you wanna change the fee right now for the fee schedule that's going to the board next month? Or hold off all to, I mean, by just bumping it up that little bit for labor and so from 1,000 to 1,500 per now? Or not at all, since you have a moratorium anyway and you have time to figure it out?
I would say we wait.
I'd say we wait, because otherwise we have to go back to them again and.
Okay,
I'm not
and
smart.
I agree with you, I just wanna make sure you remember that when you set your fee, you also, it's not effective until the board.
Okay,
Cause that's our fee.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any thoughts on putting the onus on the bench buyer on remembering the renewal versus the office? Nobody else thinks.
So
No,
you're,
because I think once we have it all down. I think it will be very easy.
If we have an email, if we have a form letter, like there's a template.
Right, and there's
We have
two.
an email that says your is due, we need to know in 30 days, otherwise. It's gonna, not you're gonna lose it, but we're gonna allocate that space to someone.
I'm gonna say I agree with you, Nate. What I do is with zoning right now, if somebody pays a retainer, let's say you're gonna disrupt the ditch and you pay $2,000 retainer and we keep that in case they don't restore it. So those permits are always issued. It is your responsibility to contact the village for reinspection. So the retainer can be refunded to you, in so many words. Now, do they contact us? Usually not, so then when we get around to it, we do it. But at least we are protected, so let's say the bench falls down, we get rid of it, they're upset, we're like, hey, we sent you a letter 12 years ago that said it was your responsibility, you didn't, so we then took action. I think we still try to communicate with them,
Oh, I see.
but I think we do say that it's their responsibility to contact us at the end of the 10 years to give us that protection in case we don't.
probably a good suggestion.
It is a good suggestion, I would agree with that.
But not one, so still do both.
Mhm.
Yes, I can live with
Yeah,
that.
I would.
Have the official policy, maybe we tell you this, but
Right.
an understanding that we're going to still send out that message. That way
That's
if it gets
Yeah,
missed.
that makes sense.
Like in this case, Sarah has some that were missed, well. Staff changes, things fall through the cracks, does that mean you get to keep it forever? No, it was still your responsibility to contact us.
I agree. So we have consensus on that? Okay, we are moving
So
on.
then for potential zone changes or how we would approve benches, would the new administrator write that up and bring that back with Eric's updated pricing, or how do we handle that?
I
The
will,
January meeting?
I will leave him some notes. Now, I will say this, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but you may not have a January meeting. I'm not sure that's his first day on the job. So
Okay.
you might, I don't know who's gonna do your agenda or put anything together, but, it is something your new administrator.
And I guess the detailed notes that Sarah's taking is enough for him to action that.
And
That
also,
and my-
Well, we're gonna
our
discuss it,
video.
so it's not like we're having the policy on for us.
We have a video too, so.
And my notes. I'll share those.
Okay, so in the meeting notes, we're basically gonna say that that has to be done yet. Now we'll review it at our next meeting, correct?
Yes. I'm moving on to 5B, which is fire station rental policy, which would be fees. Okay, so at the last, it was proposed to revisit the fees of policy when reserving the fire station. So here's the form. And we were talking about, am I right that we were talking about whether or not, because there are some people that rent that we don't charge, correct?
Right,
Like, I think it would be the filters.
I'm
No?
not sure which ones offhand, but I do know some we don't charge,
Okay,
and so it. I don't think we've ever had an issue with this, it was just something when we were going through the list, the committee said, hey, we should really look at the fire station charges too, so that was.
Okay.
What we're doing here, so.
so the deposit's 500 and the use fee for the small one is 25 and the large one is 50, basically deposit they give back if nothing happens.
Right,
Okay.
So the people we let use it for free, do they still pay a security deposit?
Okay.
I do not believe so, Jerry,
No.
or,
Mike,
Mike.
At one point they did years ago, I think it was a one time, I think the quilters were actually the ones that. They paid for the deposit once per year, and I think that was never an issue, so I think it stopped somewhere around.
I love the quilters and I don't want them to have to pay, but how do we let them have it for free as a public entity and not offer it to others for free? How do we do that?
Quilters, they purchase the rental every rental they have, they purchase.
They do pay for it then.
The rental is, I believe it's a $5 a day rental, it's discounted.
Okay,
Oh, okay, sorry.
but they don't pay a security deposit.
I believe I do have a security deposit, for them,
All right,
Yeah.
sorry, I didn't know that.
in
Okay,
The reason we did that is because of the number they set that all at once, or,
it's at the beginning of the year.
so I think to your point, Mike, what keeps somebody else from doing that? I don't think there's any judgment saying, well, the quilters are a group that we endorse or don't endorse, so we want to give them special treatment. I think it's more a matter of they're signing up for it
For the whole year.
time, which I think was a big administrative issue.
They are a nonprofit organization as well. I
I'm
don't
just
know-
wondering
I
if,
don't know the deal that they had.
Yeah.
Organized.
They have nonprofit status?
Okay, so they pay $5 annually.
No,
Per week.
per rental day,
Per rental day, okay.
I believe.
I'm just wondering if we want to continue that, and I don't know if we do or we don't, but if we want to continue it. Should we have it written so that other similar entities have access to the same deal they get, because I'm not sure. How we change it for one group versus another.
Well, I mean, having a nonprofit, having a policy for nonprofits would be consistent with other things we do. So there would be we should do that, I think. And also, should we be thinking about, because they use it every week,
Yes,
they're every week, so it's 52 weeks in a year. And 52 times 5. They're paying that every time they use it,
yeah,
okay?
This hasn't been a problem yet. But we need to keep in mind that nonprofits run a wide gamut, and not all of them are gonna make anybody at this table won't feel warm and fuzzy. There's some that I think that always
I agree.
find objectionable. And it's not been an issue. But every time we talk about nonprofits, I think it's something that's worth mentioning, that it's not, a philanthropic status necessarily.
Okay, well, either you are or you aren't, either we offer it or we don't.
I mean, Julie, is there any state legislation that we should be aware of that? Could get us, that we could be inconsistent with by not offering consistent fees to consistent types of groups?
I think you have to be careful and you can give a break to a nonprofit, but I mean. You wouldn't say like the men's group is $100 and the women's group is 200, right? That's the type of stuff that is government in trouble, right?
Well, why not leave the nonprofit out of it and just make it, if you're gonna rent it on a particular time for 52 weeks a year, you get a reduced rate. And then we don't have to worry about splitting hairs, and it covers them because it's a volume discount.
Okay, we got a chat from Vivian, and the quote group meets once a month. So 5 times 12 is 60, which is basically what our room fee is. Our room fee is 50.
we have another quilting, group though that does meet, maybe perhaps it's a different quilting group,
Okay, different than what Marianne's talking about? Okay.
perhaps.
Okay, all right, so either way,
More often.
so we need to be consistent, and if we just stick with, is everybody okay with $50? But that would be per meeting. Per.
Well, I think the
time.
25 and the 50 are the one-time use fees. And if we
Right.
wanted to grandfather in a group like the filters from
Yeah,
our
well, if they're
office,
here,
add
here
in
once a month or something like that, then.
monthly reservations.
Yeah, Julie, is that a legitimate way for us to do it? The quilters have been there for a long time. Can we just grandfather them to a previous?
Group, and same, I think with the Lions Club, do they use this room?
Yes,
Do they pay the full single use fee or?
I don't know, cause I don't do the reservations, I don't know.
I don't have my book with me, so I don't know.
Okay.
Tip.
So I think we need to determine kind of what the usage is now and what everybody's paying. Can we do you wanna do that before we determine next steps on fees?
Yeah, because I'd like to have a set fee structure so that all kinds of groups aren't paying something different.
Right,
And if we could understand what the regular users are paying, maybe we could get that set fee for return users be in line.
yeah, if
with
they're
what
here on an
paying.
annual, if they're here on a monthly basis or bi-monthly or something, and they're here for the year, that would make sense. Cause besides the Lions Club. And the quilters, that's the only one that's here on a regular basis, but I don't know.
I assume the fire department stuff, like
The
with the
CPR
CPR
classes?
training and that,
They're here.
do they have to rent the room or because they're associated with that fire
I think
station?
they rent it because they're part of it.
Yeah, they're, you know, it's part, so.
They just have to reserve it.
And they're, so they go on the calendar. And sometimes they're in the small room, but I think that's it. So what if we had just pulled together the rental calendar? Let's take a look at
And historically, what those groups are paying and
by month. And then we can look and see what that looks like. I don't think it's a long list. I don't think it'll be too hard to pull together.
And then we're gonna stick with the existing fees for now, because this is gonna go to the board.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
and-
these are the one-time use fees and we're gonna come up with a reoccurring use fee for a later date.
Yeah,
Because we wouldn't be able to get that in time for
Yeah.
the approval.
Right, and then for typically, you're supposed to look at your fee schedule. We try to look at every June and then like in time for December, so it's always effective like on a 6 month, like January 1st, July 1st. So this is something you probably want to get done in time to get in front of the board for their adoption to be effective July 1st.
Yeah.
Well, and if we ever get a new administration building, this wouldn't be any of our concern anymore, would it?
Well, I guess it depends on if the new administration building, we decide has a fee rental schedule.
Or
it's
who's
just-
responsible.
But I
for
mean,
who's just renting it.
But this building, would we still?
Well,
Because I think we do the scheduling because we have almost all of our committee and board meetings and special meetings and public hearings and everything here. And if we have a new place for that. Do
Well, we're
we
still
care who's
responsible.
coming in and out?
we do, because we're still responsible for the building, like Eric does maintenance here.
Okay,
And we want to know who's coming and going
Okay.
and what are they bringing in. I don't want to pink ball lovers. Extreme example, but we want to watch what who's using it.
So then if we move on to item 5C, do we want to consider a reduced rate for residents?
So this was discussed at the board level and kicked back the parks, the last board meeting. So I
What was the board discussion? Like, what was the?
So it was predominantly led by one trustee who was saying, hey, why isn't there? My understanding of the conversation is, why isn't there a break for people that live here? For example, when you're renting the
Village
Good
Hall.
example. Village Hall was a good example, you know, why, if you live here, why can't you get a break on that? Why can't it be less than $200 a day?
There was
Or
waterfront.
waterfront
Village Hall,
park.
Freedom Park.
And the gazebo, everything down on the water, they were saying, you know, if you're a resident, why can't you get a break on it?
and
Why
so
don't we have
I
this?
talked about the history of it. And that we did used to do that. There was a break, quite substantial. And we determined at one point in time that you need to pay by usage. And so if somebody wants to rent the village hall, and they would also manipulate it too. They would find somebody who would live in the village to rent it for somebody who lives in Liberty Grove to have a birthday party or a wedding reception, or, you know, whatever it may be. So there was always finagling anyway. But if the village couldn't even break even, why should my taxes be
Subsidized.
subsidized? That's what I was looking for, somebody using it that the expenses aren't being covered.
Well, I think
And
my,
so that's when we came to, it's just a flat fee. Yes, it would be nice to do that, but who's using it? And I thought of, one of the arguments, that Chad had brought up is that, you know, our residents shouldn't have to pay $200, you know, to rent the village hall to have a birthday party. And that may be a very valid statement. But as a resident of Sister Bay, and I will tell this to Chad's face if it comes up at our next meeting. Why should I have to spend $75 on 2 burgers and 2 Bloody Marys and tip at Husby's? If I can't afford it, then I don't go. If you can't afford the rentals so that the village can, you know, cover its expenses and everything else like that, and manpower, then don't rent it.
well, that's where I was about to go, is in my opinion, these fees, and I think we talked about it last time, are already pretty low for what you get, so it seems like everybody just gets the local village rate with this fee schedule. Not that we should have lesser for village, if anything, if we're gonna talk about difference for residents of the village, I think this should be the residents of the village, and then non-residents could be higher, but then we get into the logistics of, are you a resident? Is someone just doing it for you? And this just simplifies the process to, this covers our cost. It's an option.
I'm sorry, Ellie, you have a comment.
Just wanted to kind of make one comment on that. I do have a couple of friends who have not booked our village hall if they are residents of Sister Bay. And they've gone and booked Bailey's Harbor Village Hall for birthday parties because it was cheaper. And that just, I don't know, kind of was sad. I'm like, oh, the residents of Sister Bay aren't booking our own village hall because it is cheaper to go elsewhere. So I just wanted to kind of, at least kind of throw that notion into the mix, because I know like my one friend who had she had both her kids' birthday parties there. She's like, yeah, I'd love to just keep it in Sister Bay, but financially it may.
How much was Bailey?
I don't know, I can't remember off the top of my head. But that was her comment, was that at Sister Bay, and I don't know if it was maybe the security deposit through them,
Well,
you know, maybe not wanting, they maybe didn't want to or didn't have the $500 to put up front.
Yeah.
I didn't ask that question, but
okay.
it has happened. We just thought I'd throw that out there, and they are residents, so it's not just anybody coming.
Okay. Okay, so,
One of the things that the board did talk about, I understand, Keith was one thing was referred to there is having an off-season rate, perhaps not be a resident, non-resident rate, but have it be something that is gonna be, it was like October through April. And I know one of the things that came up there was, well, it costs so much to heat it, you do have to increase the heat for there.
Yeah, it's actually more expensive in the off season potentially for the village.
Kind of, but
and the parks aren't really gonna be part of that, so.
yeah, but there's a lot of expenses that are put upon the tax base that are not used by all individuals. And I have a hard time saying that a child's birthday party isn't something that's in the common good, but at the same point, there's other events that maybe don't have that same feel, so it's. I can understand someone will say, well, it's a child's birthday party, which is a decent chunk of them, but there are other events that happen there too. I think that we should do an off-season rate. I understand it costs a little bit more, but it keeps more people downtown. it makes the community a community if you have more people gathering. And I think having that from October through April would make sense, and I think having it be $100 a day.
I don't have an opinion either way on one season.
That just doesn't cover.
Yeah, because the heat for Village Hall at least, because that's the only one that would really affect it, because everything else is outside.
Every screw has to go in there and clean it all.
Do we turn off the heat when we're not using it?
Yeah, it goes down to like 55.
So it takes a long time to heat up.
Yeah, it does.
Well, we typically find.
Because how many meetings have we been there?
It's cold.
And it's cold, and it's been on for hours and hours
Yeah,
and
you gotta-
hours.
everybody's in there.
You almost have to start turning it up the day before.
Okay, so we have to make a decision.
I think we'd want fees that cover our base expenses. Why?
Okay. So I'll start the discussion. I think the fee should be flat for everybody. Fee is the fee. Anybody else?
I don't have a strong opinion on this, but I think Denise makes a good case that it should be based on usage. And that the usage cost is the same whether you're a resident or a non-resident.
Kind of what I'm saying. yeah.
I also think to Jerry's point that the prices that we see are not really that unreasonable for those types of space. I don't know how they compare to other communities, so it probably would be worth taking a peek at that.
And I mean, if somebody wants to make a phone call to Bailey's Harbor and, take into consideration what Ellie said, if it was the security deposit, well, maybe something, if they're a village resident, maybe then that there's something,
Can we just flag it to take it out of their property taxes?
if that was,
I'm trying to find out, I mean, it's.
but we can.
Well, there are 4 or 5 other places, Bailey, Sebastopol, the Press, Ephraim, they all have them. So we can find them. Yep. We need to be competitive. For sure.
Well, do we need to be competitive?
Yeah, I
though?
don't
Like,
think
we're
we
not,
do.
our primary business isn't renting our spaces. I think we just, if someone wants to use the space, we want to cover our expenses, and that's good
So
enough.
we're just getting it just to understand where we sit in the middle of it.
I think information is good. I mean,
Your
it's certainly something that is newer and updated and energy efficient is, their fees could be less because this is not an energy efficient.
Or maybe
Village
their
Hall.
policy, maybe Bailey's, that if it is the case, doesn't mind taking a loss on the usage because they just want to use.
You gotta remember our fees we're not supposed to make money, right? The fees are always supposed to cover the cost of services. So. Is the fee covering the cost or are we making money on it? If we're making, we shouldn't be making money. So. We try to price
Right,
them.
cleaning,
Right.
toilet paper, staff time.
Sebastopol, the rental fee is $150 for town residents and $200 for non-residents. They have a full kitchen, they have 120 upholstered chairs and 20 banquet tables. The kitchenette is fully equipped with utensils, coffee pot, sink, large refrigerator, just like ours. And it accommodates 120 people, so it's a little bigger.
Does it show the retainer with
There's no
Security
deposit.
deposit?
no deposit
There's
is
no
there?
deposit.
I bet Denise is right, that difference is the deposit.
Their town park pavilion is $75 for residents, $100 for non-residents. That's where they play their ball games. Those are the 2 things they do. Sebastopol is just easy. I don't know how easy it's gonna be to find the other ones, but
Bailey's Harbor, you have to contact them, they don't have it on the website.
and I don't know what the crest is, probably a little bit more of it. I'm not sure. So maybe it's a deposit then, you guys. No deposit for residents, is that? I don't know.
When somebody makes a deposit, do we accept the check and tell them, hey, we're gonna hold the check and you don't have to worry about it unless there's a
Yeah,
problem?
sure.
It depends when it comes in, because after a certain period of time, those checks are no good, so we can't always hold a check. Sometimes we have to cash it and then come out.
Because they ran it pretty far in advance. Okay.
Years ago, when I rented it, they actually, Heidi asked for a check and went to get the key. So that it was still a valid check for that timeline. She didn't cash it. She gave it back and gave the key back. So that cash was never
Right. Okay, Ellie, you find it?
Could there be something that you write into the contract, like in lieu of a deposit, it's something signing, saying like, I will be responsible for any damages that happen?
Already in the
I
contract.
think that's already.
It's already in the contract.
So do we wanna make a decision about the deposit now, or we wanna wait on this fee stuff?
I think you have to have some deposit, 500's a lot. I mean, have we ever had damages where we had to keep the $500?
I mean, I think 500 when Pride is there, makes sense. I mean, it's a big event.
But they've always gotten their deposit back, right?
As far as I know.
Yeah.
The only ones,
But Eric, you know, a birthday party,
It's low.
not as many
Yeah.
people.
True.
the one since I've been here that I know we've had issues with is people putting stuff in, hitting the sprinkler system, right, Eric? We've had that, like they put a tent down or something and they,
That one I'm not aware of.
or maybe it was a
aware of that.
volleyball net or something. There was some issue a couple of years ago where they actually spiked into the water line.
But I mean, accidents will happen, right? But I mean, as a,
Park, not Village Hall, but.
yeah, I mean, at the village hall, have we had any issues where we had to retain part of the deposit?
Well, I don't know, I don't
I'm
know.
here to know.
I think there was one
Because I was
incident
trying to
about
explain.
2 years ago where they scuffed the floor pretty good. And then I had conversations
down.
with Heidi.
Yeah.
As far as that, I
I
don't,
recall one with garbage, they left a bunch of garbage in there, but I don't know what happened with
See,
it.
Yeah.
and that's what I think.
See, Heidi
Garbage
is-
is left there quite often, and the village just doesn't do anything about it.
Okay. And that we probably
The
should.
question is, does it need to be $500? That's all.
How about a deposit of 500 for more than, pick a number.
Yeah.
75 participants.
50.
50. Could you have 50 at a birthday party?
Yeah, they're kind of big.
Yeah, but with parents,
I would ask the parent of a
I've
person.
been to some big ones, especially the little kids, it's like especially the youngins, it's like parents are there.
The adults go, because
Right.
nobody
Yeah.
has to babysit their other people's kids.
But I
Yeah.
think it's a good idea that I think Denise is onto a good idea. We just pick a number and
Yeah.
that way it's very,
75.
reviewable.
So
Yeah,
they'll-
75. If it's under it,
Better if there's no.
What's the capacity of the hall?
Seated 100 in those comfortable blue seats.
I'd like 50 then, 50 or more deposit.
How about, can I just throw this out there, rather than just winging it and picking a number without a rationale or anything behind it? Why don't we just leave it the way it is until somebody can prove it or do some policy analysis or something on it, why it should change and what it should be? Just because I don't think it's broken, right? We're trying to fix something that
Right, it
we as a
came from
committee don't
one
feel is
board
broken.
member. One.
So maybe this is when the new administrators board, they call around, find out what the neighboring policies
We
look
already
like.
have one.
And we
How
have-
do the others have.
Decide.
The press has a couple of different things. They only do it per hour. They have a peak season and off-peak season rates, but even in peak season. The highest is 75 an hour, but it's as low as 25 an hour, for residents.
$300 for a 2-hour.
Yeah. So for residents, it's
No,
the
they wouldn't.
cheapest, but there's a couple of different sectors.
Is that the security deposit, Ellen?
I don't
Just the
see
rent?
anything about that. I'm just on their website, but I don't see a security deposit. It doesn't mean they don't do it either.
Because we can change our security deposit at any time. That's not in, I don't know why. But it's not listed in our fee schedule. Our fee schedule says security deposit may be required. And then it goes on to list what the actual rental fee is.
I think what we're trying to do here, maybe somebody will correct this, but I think we're trying to come up with a way to attract residents to use it where it's low cost and that the security deposit burden is appropriate. And what's being suggested here is that for certain types of events, like children's birthday parties with 50 people or less, we probably don't need the security deposit, but if we get over 50 or 75, whatever number we decide, and there's larger groups, it should be noted that not only is there gonna be a security deposit, but it'll probably be charged if you don't clean up after yourself. And we could even say to the groups under 50 to get children's parties, if you don't clean it up, there'll be an additional charge. That can just be simply written into the policy.
Probably can write something in about it. Do they, I guess, cause I only have done SBA events there, do people, when people rent it, are they in charge of removing their own trash from the building, or do they just tie it up and leave it in the cans?
So they remove it.
They remove it.
Or supposed to?
Yes, that they are supposed to.
They're supposed to take all their stuff out of the fridge too. That's annoying.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's giving staff tools there, because right now there's not a, okay, you didn't clean it up, we're gonna give you none of your security deposit back, maybe, but I think there's a lot of other policy things that. I think you're right, Julie, once we actually do an analysis on it and see what's, knowing that the direction that we wanna go in, that makes sense.
Because I guess if we come up with that, it should be. It'll be a good foundation or a template for other places also. Just.
I remember back in the day, UW Extension actually had a template or a formula governments could use to determine their fees, and it would factor in a bunch of things, so maybe we just need to look at something like that. So, do I hear we're just gonna leave it the way it is for now, until this is revisited with more information?
So what's the information? The information is what does everybody else charge and what else?
And do we have an opportunity to reduce the cost and or the deposit if you were a local resident? Those
Well,
are
I
the-
mean, we don't need any more information to figure to
Well, I
decide
think
that,
it'd be good to understand,
but whether or not
for
everybody
Eric's
else.
time or the
Yeah.
heating, does the current fee cover the usage? Or
And
is it,
staff
or is
making the
it, yeah.
reservations.
Or is it way in excess, or is it actually too low?
Okay, and we can figure out if anybody else has a security deposit. So far, the Crest and Dailies do not.
And UW Extension
So,
had that
sorry,
formula?
and
So
so
you
that's,
just have a template that government, is specifically designed for governments to figure out their fees.
okay. Okay. Alright. 6D is the pickleball policy, and I think Julie sent over, an update for this, earlier, it was earlier today, right?
Friday.
Right, okay, sorry.
So pickleball is one we deal with quite every now and then. It becomes pretty controversial. And as we're coming into what I'll say is pickleball season, we know we're gonna be getting these applications. We need to look at this a little closer. We talked about a couple months ago, I said we'd bring it back, so it's back. You can see the issue, or I should say issue, but the concern we have. First of all, let me say that we did already decide that the fee should go to $20 per 2-hour period. That was decided, I think, at the last meeting, maybe the meeting before, so that'll go to the board. But the issue is, we had talked about the only organized group that should be reserving is the pickleball club. To make sure everybody had access to those courts, and I've shown you the, some reservations we have. I think you can see that. I don't know, there's that, maybe it's,
The same, basically they're double booking and they're just using, the same people are booking, but they're using 2 different names. Got it. Okay.
is what it appears to be. So the courts are always tied up in the morning, except Sunday. So if you want to get out there before it gets too hot and just go play pickleball or tennis, there's no way you can do it in Sister Bay unless you go on a Sunday.
Or go outside the hours of 9 to 11?
Right, it's basically 3 primary parties that have totally reserved it as if it's a private pickleball court.
Well, because they want to play together and that's why they're doing it. All right. Have we had complaints from anybody else that wanted to use it during those times? Does anybody know?
I complained about it a while ago.
Wasn't there a letter sent?
Yeah,
And
there was a
people,
couple of
there were
letters,
some letters that were sent because there was open courts.
and they
but
were
then that-
chased off.
Yeah, but they wouldn't let them play because they weren't a part of the club.
Oh, okay.
It got pretty spicy a couple
Yeah.
years ago. I remember a meeting at the Village Hall.
That's been a
that we
bit of,
had.
okay, all right.
That people were upset. And that's when we changed the policy. Was after, I think at that meeting in the Village Hall.
So question staff needs clarification on, that's what I'm reading right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, are we okay with this happening where every group's just totally monopolize it? And if not, then what are we gonna do? So,
No more pickleball courts, but that's not in the future.
No.
guidance. Okay. So I think, did we talk about, having a limit on, no matter whether they're the two people that are booking that are really the same people, having a limit on the number of, advanced reservations they can make? Does that solve it?
People came back.
Yeah, I personally think it should be, you can only reserve it for 2 hours at a time.
2 hours at a time, and then, so they hang up, they call back, and then they, do you know what I mean, 2 hours at a time, or during a certain period of time, or would that have to be included?
That's probably a good idea. I don't know how to
Well-
word it, but clearly it feels like people are gonna continue to figure out a way to work around the rules, so we need something really solid. I do think that, yeah, Louise, based on what we've seen, they probably hang up, call again, yep, kind of keep that little speed dial going until they get on the hook.
So I guess our goal, what we're trying to accomplish is, it's already not reservable the rest of the days and Sunday.
After 11,
Is we're trying to
between 9 and 11. right?
free up some more days between 9 and 11 where it's not locked out.
Right, we want taxpayers and visitors to be able to play pickleball on our pickleball courts, instead of having it tied up 6 days out of the week.
And we already discussed doubling the fee. So if we doubled the fee and halved the days, we would be at a net wash, but we would have, saying like maybe only Monday through Wednesday, or Monday, Thursday, Friday, or whatever. 3 days a week are reservable days, and the rest is open in the mornings, no matter what.
Right, you could say that, so we know, so the pickleball club is, and maybe I'm wrong, but I view them as like a partner, that they've helped us with stuff out there, is my understanding,
Yeah.
and that's why we've given them a break, so to speak. Maybe other than the pickleball club, there's no reservations. First come, first served, period.
So our view is the
Lot of
pickleball
places
club
do
is
that.
not part of the problem.
Yeah,
Pardon
The official pickleball club is not part of the problem.
No.
It's non-pickleball club reservers.
So-
we probably don't reserve.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
Because,
Yeah, that's why that's why I was asking.
So my understanding.
because the way that I was interpreting it is the pickleball club, then some of the same members are booking the other times.
That I don't know if
Yeah, yes.
that's what it looks like on paper.
Sarah is saying yes.
That's what it looks like.
That's what it looks like on paper, is what we're. That's what we're thinking.
But if the answer is flat out, the pickleball club, you can only reserve it, whatever days 3 days a week, from 9 to 11. Outside of that, there is no reservations, period.
That'll solve it.
That'll solve it.
yeah. And just so I understand, can you help me understand what type of financial commitment to the village the pickleball club made to get their preferential treatment?
None.
So,
Well, didn't they replace some nets out there, and I thought they did some striping out there.
no, we did striping,
Okay.
I
did some net replacement, yes.
I mean, the sports.
I know, but that was for their purpose, excuse me, Mike. They wanted better nets, so they replaced them.
Denise, I kind of share your perspective on this because I personally been involved when you go up there, if you're there on their time. They'll imply it's their courts, not the villages, it's theirs. And I think, it's a committee decision as to whether or not we allow them to reserve time in advance. But I like the idea that outside of their reservation times, it's first come, first serve, and then what experienced pickleball people do, they have a rotation that they use, that you play a game and then you go out, or you win and you stay. But, we may find that we have to come up with rules at some point to make sure that they're used fairly and open to all residents. But I think we have to think more about residents and visitors having access.
Pickleball club, is the pickleball club the same as, are these two one and the same as the advanced pickleball group?
No,
They're two different ones.
we think it's a offshoot of it, maybe,
Okay.
we don't know.
Okay, and the pickleball club, who makes the reservations?
I have that in here, so Door County Pickleball Club, no, that's really organized, they advertise the
Yeah,
pickleball
I
on
worked
Sturdy
with them from the
Bay.
beginning. Yep,
So that one, did I put that in here?
I don't know him real well, but I thought his first name was Jeff, and I see Jeff
Well,
here.
Jeff is the one application is Jeff Stain females, which we think is pickleball.
Yeah.
And then we have the other one, and then, and Door County Pickleball Club, you asked, who is that made by?
Yeah, makes.
It looks like a Steven someone.
Oh, is it Stephen,
Is Bill still involved in pickleball club? Is he still doing it? I don't know, he was my first contact I had,
Hold on.
Bill and Kathy. Were
Well,
calling
I'm
me.
not sure it matters, right? I think what we're trying to decide is how we open this up more for residents to have access, because some residents are feeling like they don't have access because of the increasing time, either legitimately or through a back door. The club members are applying in order to get all the time for themselves. And it's the key times. It's the time everybody would want to go. Where maybe we do this in a way where the pickleball club gets to use it when it's less attractive. You know, we don't have lights on that court, do we?
No,
There's no lights?
there is no lights.
Is it there?
Yeah.
Did you find a folder? Are there emails in there? Is somebody's name in there?
Dave Winbach?
Oh, no, that's the guy that's like the pickleball champ of all time that came here and played. Is there another guy?
This is what we got, we said on this.
I have winemaker.
You know, long ago when I would play, some old friends sports, we would have. a little
Because I
block,
think that,
and the next time is.
Dave Weinbeck or whatever, that's probably from two thousand
Rocket
eighteen.
there, if you wanted to play the next.
Um,
time, put your racket there, and if you even play. whoever
Anybody?
was the-
No, there's an old schedule from 2021. They only had 2 days reserved.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Something's-
Hold on, here's that one,
Two
that one, that.
Something like that. But,
Yeah, that's the only email is from Dave. Weenback or.
Yeah, he was they had him come up and play. He gave a,
Oh, Dave the Badger.
that's him. He's really good. He came up and played the first season we had the pickleball courts.
I just want you to know, reserving the
Oh,
pickleball
Jake
courts
Pollock?
takes up a lot of my time.
Okay, I got you.
As administrative time, a lot of phone calls, and a lot of callbacks, and a lot of anxiety on the other end of the phone, and a lot of visitors calling months in advance.
Sarah, that's a really good point, because it is
It's-
true.
It's really stressful, and just the paperwork get involved,
Jay
and
West,
then
that's what I'm
making
trying
a
to
reservation sign and giving it to our parks team
Okay,
to put it on the board. It's the back end of it is overwhelming to think that it's only $5. Just to put it out there.
okay. So I'm looking at DoorCountyPickleball.com, and the guy that started it was Jay Renstrom. He's the one that I worked with way back when. And they're very organized and a large entity now, which is great. He did a great job. But he's the one that I was thinking of, but that's not anybody that's reserved anything with us. Doesn't sound like it anyway. So, yeah, I'm all for first come, first serve.
I think that'll address the issue Sarah was talking about too, because it does get crazy sometimes with people, can I get a pickleball court? Hey, can you call me back? I mean, there's times a year where it's ridiculous. You would not believe it.
Well, we might want to, take a look at our sign that hangs there. And, I don't know if everybody was listening to Sarah when she was talking, she played tennis. You wanted to play the next game, you put your racket up. They just kept piling up, so you knew who was playing next. And maybe there's a place that we could say, hang your racket here next up, or something something like that, so people would understand, because what I would be afraid of is that if there's no more reservations, and that certainly seems to be a time suck where staff should be doing much more important things, that, you're not gonna have 8, 10 people show up and just hoard the court and never get off.
Yeah, that's the risk. Maybe we limit it to group sizes of 5.
You know, nobody's gonna police that, but,
Right. But you're looking at the sign and coming up with a cap is probably good. Because again, to your point, they're all good pickleball players. They like playing with the other members of their group. But they're not too welcoming if visitors come up and want to get in the game. And, the first thing we have to do is open it up to no reservations. And I think Denise is right. We need a sign that basically says that the court's open to all. It's first come, first serve, and you can't put a paddle up there and waiting for somebody who's not right there and ready to play. We unfortunately, we're probably gonna be clear on the rules, or at least a couple of phrases that we could put up there to remind people they have good sportsmanship.
Mike, is there like, to make sure people aren't monopolizing it, is like an hour a good time limit on that? Like, cannot play for more than an hour or something if people are waiting?
I'm not an expert.
And who's going to, enforce that?
I think it's.
Oh, the people waiting.
The people.
Yeah.
Will call and play.
I mean, good players will keep a volley going and their games will probably be longer than novices, right? And then there's the playing doubles versus singles.
Well, I've seen plenty of signs at places that say something along the lines of, you know, please limit usage or be considerate of
Yeah.
others when they're waiting, or, you know, something along those
And the
lines.
racket hanging suggestion that we heard from tennis, I think is a really good recommendation.
Yeah, I'm betting we'll have to revisit this in the future, but this feels like the right next step for working around the issues we're having. Especially if it's being a huge burden on staff, because they've got a lot more important things to be working on than trying to police pickleball.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see what Sturgeon Bay does. They have 7 courts. They don't charge anything, I don't think. I also think they don't take reservations. So,
Yeah, I mean, my recommendation is move to a no reservation policy, first come, first serve, and action to our new administrator to look at a sign.
So Eric, can you, when you're out and about today, can you just go take a picture of the sign that's out there and forward it to the office?
Sure.
Thank you.
it's in Sunset Park, so, I mean, the city owns it.
So is that consensus right now? No reservation other than for Door County, the main Door County Pickleball Group, which can do 3 mornings, 2 hours each.
And if there were, you know, if there was a tennis club or something, I think if there's an official club, there can be some consideration. But pickleball usage.
Official club would have to come, or a regular schedule would have to come to the committee.
Yeah.
Everybody else is first come, first serve. And we'll work on new signage up there.
Okay.
We have consensus?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
We are up to 6E, website and use soil report.
So as you know, I was to contact the soil scientists and do the soil reports on the Mill Road site to see its suitability for development and or parking. So the finished report is in your packet.
So Julie, my takeaway reading it was there's no extraordinary consideration needed for building on the site. And just normal best practices need to be followed. Did I misread it?
That's the same way I read it, Jerry.
I didn't read it quite as good as you. because I went to the, it's in my notes here.
There's one spot where it talked about there was some potential old fill stuff that might need to be removed, but it seemed like with slightly deeper, I'll say dredging, unless the wrong word,
Excavating and more
Yeah.
gravel.
that it could be accommodated, is the way it seemed.
Yeah, that,
I thought that there was gonna be a lot more, when he was talking about the elevation 608, that there might have to be more,
More fill and rid.
more fill in one and digging down more, in another. But I looked up, I don't know if this is how you pronounce it, Casa Grande's, plasticity chart. And we were to the left of the U line, according from what I could tell, and that wasn't a good thing. So I'll let you do your own research.
See, I got hung up on like the firm to very firm verbiage they used, and that sounded good to me.
I read the report from, not this, but the previous house that I built, and it was worded almost the same. And at that time, I had to go back to the engineer, and I did have the engineer there inspecting the excavation. And the issue is that they're looking for settled soil, and anything that has been churned up before, which they might not be able to tell until they start to dig. They may have to dig a little deeper, and they may have to use more gravel. And they were suggesting here, because this is not gonna be a real deep building, that we might have to go down a little further under the foundation. Pouring than you normally would with more gravel is the way
But
that
I think they said like a
interpret
foot or two more, and that.
Right.
didn't
That's,
seem
yeah, that's
a lot.
not a big, to your point, it's not, gravel isn't cheap anymore, but it's not expensive, and when you're excavating. That's not much of a difference. That was, I'm not an expert, but that's the way I read it too, Jerry.
So, can I just say, I sent it to a builder. And his response to me was, I just read the report, everything looks good to me, I would be happy if I got that, and I was the one building there. Sand and clay are very typical for this area. The 4-foot footings requirement for the foundation is the absolute minimum, which means they are not concerned by anything. And they said there was no groundwater concerns to worry about. This looks good.
Who's the
The
builder?
one builder.
Who is it?
Let me tell you.
so I know when Alliance was
Well, you can
building.
believe me or not, doesn't mean.
When Alliance was building the Parks building, which I would assume, and then hate to assume, but you know, let's just assume it has the same type of foundation. Those went down very deep because what happened was they had to keep digging until they got the virgin soil. So there was so much fill out there, they peel away and until they hit that native soil. So there was a lot of work there, and there was a lot of added expense actually on that one, and those foundations went very deep. Don't ask me offhand, I'd have to look back in the report. I'm gonna say 10 feet, 11 feet, something like that. That would be my concern on it. You don't know what you're getting.
And I get it, but. That's kind of what I was thinking too, but that's probably with any project, the biggest concern, and I think Eric has brought this up before, is that, and they talk about, not seeing any water, but it's variables, and we know how the water pours out of the block and comes down. And that's, the Atterberg limit is all based on moisture. It's how soils move from solid state to liquid.
And I think all their borings did say for even that
Moist,
bottommost layer
moist,
set.
moist.
Yeah.
So, and what was the date of that? October?
End of October, I think, or early November.
It says the drill date October 16th.
So,
So about a month and a half ago.
So it's a dry period of time. You getting wet soils samples.
I don't know, I don't think it proves anything one way or the other. In all actuality.
I think it says there's nothing catastrophic that says you can't build there, period.
You just are gonna have to do all these other things,
It'll just
Maybe.
cost you more.
maybe.
So in Julie's report, it says the soil report is to be reviewed by Parks. Depending on the results of that review, the new administrator will need to bring the matter to the board for a final decision as to what site is used. From there, if the Mill Road site is selected, he will need to work with the committee to either utilize the original architect, etc. So.
Well, basically, all the
we're not paying
engineering,
for a
we
new one.
need to redo the building.
Right, and ensure the budget accommodates the decision. The budget is currently, I think, 3.1 million. And based on price, if it met bidding law requirements, a contract will be needed, et cetera. So I think we all understand that. So the soil report we've just reviewed. Janice says it doesn't tell us anything. I
Well,
think it does.
nothing conclusive, because there's all kinds of disclaimers throughout the whole entire thing. You know,
Okay,
it
is that
was,
is that pretty normal for a
Engineering
soil
report,
boring report? I'm pretty sure it is. Am I right?
pretty much any
I'm saying
engineering.
that they did anything, right?
Right,
yeah,
so why did we do this?
Well, it does, it
Well,
tells us
We knew
we
that
can't
nothing
build
was
there.
done.
No, but you can get a report back that says this site is unbuildable
Right.
for X, Y, Z.
So it didn't tell us that, am I right?
What it did do,
Okay.
what it did do was tell you, you may have a lot of hidden expenses in here. but
No, it didn't say that. It did not say that.
Let me
I read
finish,
it.
Mike. Let me
Fine.
finish, Mike.
Hold on,
It's the same thing that we had with the Parks one, where it's saying you may run into issues with not having virgin soils, and you may have to go deeper or do different things with your soil, so make sure you put a contingency in there to cover those what ifs. That's how I read it.
I agree.
Okay, I'm glad you let me finish then.
So, and I don't know if that's normal for these kinds of reports or not, I really don't, you know, and I understand, sorry for being blue before, I do understand why we did this, of course. So we didn't get, no, this is horrible, don't do it, but we didn't get, oh my God, this is the greatest place in the whole world, please, please build on this site. So at this point, it says depending on the results of the review, do we take it to the board for a final decision as to what site to use? I think we are at that point, correct?
We're at that point.
Okay. So do we need a vote on what to do, correct?
What's the motion?
Well, the motion would be to refer it to the board, make a decision on the, a final decision on the site.
Without a recommendation from you?
I'm sorry, with the, I beg your pardon, I'm sorry, with the recommendation from us. Or without, I don't know, but with.
Well,
I
the
think.
potentially controversial part of that is we've given a lot of recommendations and they've not been utilized, so. I don't know if even making a recommendation makes sense at this point. To me, I'm like, okay, board, if you want us, the Parks Committee, to engineer a building, you're gonna have to tell us a site, because we've passed multiple motions, recommendations to the board of the site, and those have not been accepted.
And it's just kind of like what I was banging my head against the wall, you know, the fees, take it back, talk about it again. I don't think the board had, my opinion, has a lot of respect for the work that committees do or past boards or anything. They want to push forward on their agenda and what they want to do. And so I wholeheartedly agree with you, Jerry. They're gonna do what they want to do anyway, so why bother making a recommendation? Because we've seen it, it's proven, meeting after meeting after meeting.
Okay, do you want to make a, do we go with, do we send it to the board with a recommendation or not?
I would send it to the board. My motion would be that we send to the board the Parks Committee's acceptance of the engineering report and a summary that believes that kind of is written the way Julie described the report. It's a pretty standard report that says we may or may not have some risk with some added expense, but it's nothing out of the realm of normal based on what we're hearing from builders and what we believe as a committee.
We heard from one builder that Louise talked to, no
Let's remove
offense.
that. You know,
Okay,
we can tell
okay,
them.
we can remove that.
We can't find out who the builder is, I don't think we should.
You're 100%
reference that.
right.
I agree. So we just, as a committee, based on our interpretation of this report, we recommend that the report's accepted and that the Mill Road site is worth pursuing as a building location, and they'll decide what they want to decide.
Nate, your opinion?
No, I mean, I guess I would say that respect is a two-way street, that when people stop respecting what the board decides and changes that happen at that level, respect falls away from both angles. I don't think we should make a recommendation on here because no matter what, it's gonna go against somebody's recommendation, Gary. There's no way around that. I understand your point, but say, okay, well, we've come up with the information, let's go forward. I
So
do.
we don't need, you don't think we need a recommendation here or a,
I think we just turn over what we say.
I don't think we have to have a recommendation, is that,
Okay.
that's what, and I would agree with Nate, I would agree with Jerry, I think Denise, well. But I do like and think that we should, obviously include this report. And that the report was, it's not inconclusive, and I know I misquoted you to the extent, it doesn't tell us one thing either way, but it also, I don't know how you say it, but doesn't tell us like.
Doesn't
Or
preclude
does not preclude building
Does not
on the
preclude,
Mill Road
that's
side.
correct. So, is that a motion? Okay, so,
Or just general consensus, if that's what's done.
okay,
I'd be okay with consensus.
I'm fine with everybody else, I'm with
I
consent.
think we might be better off with consensus than an actual motion.
Nate?
It's gonna get referred to the board either way, so.
Going to the board
however it gets
anyway.
there, it doesn't-
So we don't need a motion, okay. And, well, you guys are gonna be working on the agenda for the board, okay. Is there anything else we would recommend when it goes to the board, or just the review of that report, right?
Just include the report. I mean, the board's been talking about this for a while, and I think that
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna move on to 5F, binocular proposal, reduced price. I would make this really easy, and I would say no. I don't care, it's cheaper.
I'm not a big
Yes,
fan of that.
sorry, it's just me, I'm
manufacturer.
just not a, yeah, so somebody can,
Yeah, on our last road
Convince
trip, we
me
went to
otherwise.
Texas recently, and there were several parks that had different binoculars, and all of them
Were they all
were very foggy and didn't offer much more than just.
well, first of all, Julie, thank you for at least taking advantage of a lower price.
Yes,
Yeah, he reached
Thank you
out
for
to me
letting
and I
us
said,
know.
yeah, he reached out and I said, I will ask.
Something tells me that maybe a lot of people don't want these binoculars anymore, but anyway. So consensus is that we would not take advantage of this price and still not move forward with binoculars. Is that good? We don't need to vote.
Not if it's consensus.
Consensus, everybody?
yeah,
Yeah.
No binocs, okay. On to, I think this is you, Eric, 6G, cold storage building next steps.
Just to know, Eric, did anybody give you any bids or estimates or anything?
I reached out to him, I had already submitted the report. Let's see if I can pull up mail that he had sent to me.
I see you did cover it in your staff director's report. First of all, this was put together really quick, this whole agenda packet. Because we were short on time, but, so I put an update on there, but I do see in your director's report, you gave a bit of a brief update in there as well.
He still hasn't been able to put all the materials together for me. So he's still waiting on vendors, the way he basically made it sound like.
Really, nothing will happen out there this winter at all, and maybe
Can we
spring or
just put it
summer.
out for bid?
Well, do we know what we're putting out for bid though? Is it full residing? Is it just, I think last time we talked about just repair and paint, like what are we?
Well, we're trying to, spend as little money as possible, but do it as economically and efficiently as possible. Instead of siding, right? Okay,
Well, as I brought up last month, Ken Church just had questions.
why would you not paint it? I think was his.
Fixing what was rotten, and obviously there is some bad spots. I don't know how old the roof is, but if we need a new roof, we need a new roof, and are we gonna use asphalt or are we gonna use metal, like to match the other building? I don't know that I have the answer to that. So I think what we had talked about is is having a discussion about what really needs to be done. Maybe you had left early or something last month, Eric, or maybe you weren't here when we finally got to this topic, because I don't think Eric was here to answer our
Eric,
question.
I think you left and I don't think you had been back on.
You came back on, but not you were on, I'm back on yet.
Sure.
Begin the discussion with TK, is it just a basic, what would it cost to re-side it and roof it, or is it?
So
more
he's
what
right,
needs
he's
to be
working on
done?
lean-to right now, he's working on the siding and he's working on the roofing. And what he emailed me is he ran into a roadblock with engineering and state approval. So he's still waiting on that. So it sounds like he's waiting a little bit on some engineering plans. And then he's gonna put together what he's got, sign it, and all the labor involved with everything, and he's hoping to have that for me in December at some point.
But is his analysis, it needs re-siding, is his analysis that he could repair? and
Yes,
paint, or?
it definitely needs new siding. That siding is shot.
But the siding is the wall.
Yeah, the siding is also structural with the building itself.
So what's he proposing? Is it diamond coat or metal panels, or what's he proposing for siding?
I think he's putting together a couple of options, actually, the T11 that's on there currently,
Yeah,
and then
that's the paint, right?
the step above it. So there's a new product out there. I can't remember what he actually called it. So I think he's putting together what is currently on there for replacement and then the next level, and then that's like a difference in the maintenance. So what's on there right now, the T11, I think is a 10-year, where this new product is a 25. So if you go with the T11, you're gonna be painting it within 10 years again. If you go with this other product, it stretches out to the 25-year mark as far as maintenance and everything like that. And then just without tearing the roof off, I think he's just putting a basic replacement shingle estimate on there. But there is some water damage on the sheeting, so I already know that there's some of that gonna have to get replaced as well. And then the lean-to with for the shuttle bus
Mhm.
on the backside, since the concrete slab is already in place.
But the lean-to could be done at any time, right? And don't you need that space for the winter time?
The whole plan for the lean-to is for the shuttle bus.
No, I meant, don't you need the space inside the cold storage for the winter time? I mean, are you trying to get stuff in there now?
Actually, a lot of the stuff is out. Most of the cold storage is taken up by Christmas. More than probably half of building space.
Where's the Viking ship inside cold storage?
The Viking ship now is in cold storage.
Is the roof leaking?
No, we did some repairs on it and we have, I think we've corrected all the leaks.
Does that include where that soffit got kind of bent up and we have water?
During the
this summer?
During the move, which I did not, and I discovered it when I was out there with Terry from TK, that a lot of the fascia had separated from the drip cap during the move or something, and water had poured in there and it had rotted out a lot of stuff. So we once that was discovered, we went up there and we fixed a lot of it or prevented the leak from spreading.
So what kind of timeline are we working on here? Is this in the 26
It's not
budget?
even budgeted.
Okay,
We were
so,
gonna use the leftover funds from the main building.
But that's not enough.
Yeah, for some, we're gonna sign it.
That might be enough to do one thing,
Right, because we're down to about 36,000.
yeah. So you're
Because the
probably,
money we were gonna use, we ended up spending on the lateral.
yeah, you're probably gonna wanna start with siding.
So we wanna wait till we hear from him.
He's
Okay.
he's got the ball rolling in the process. It's
And we
just been
hope
a
that-
little slower than I was hoping
January.
for an estimate, but then again, I did ask for 3 things from him right off the get-go.
Eric, at the Lager Quest farm, there's still a lot of stuff outside. Is that all gonna go into that cold storage building then?
Eventually, yeah,
Is there anything in the barn there?
there is still quite a bit of stuff from us in the barn. A lot of the stuff that's not used quite a bit, so my plan was all the seasonal stuff will come out of and go out in the field and then it'll get moved back into cold storage. When we have more time, we'll go out and grab that stuff and then bring it back, kind of clean up the barn and the farm. But I'd like to continue using the barn interior as long as I can. You know, that's just more space, makes the cold storage more maneuverable. If I ain't got a lot of stuff, if I on reserve, like those 5x5 treated boards that we moved in there, there's a huge pile of them in the corner of the barn.
Yeah, I would be more concerned about the stuff that's outside, because,
The aesthetics.
yeah.
Yeah. The aesthetic part, I'm planning on moving a lot of that stuff. So none of that Christmas stuff is going back to the
You
barn.
got those
So
blue
everything
signs
will be
out
that's
there.
The blue signs, yeah, yeah. Once we get fully moved in to our building and we get more time, maybe in later summer or spring,
Okay.
we can move that stuff.
All right, so we're gonna wait for response from
TK,
TK. And we'll discuss it at the next meeting, and it's not budgeted, so we have to see what that's gonna, right?
yeah,
Will you have samples from him so you can show us what
I could ask.
we need?
Um,
Cause
I was-
otherwise it'll just postpone it another month on making a decision.
Yep.
And hopefully he's not bundling all three things together in one quote. He's splitting out lean-to versus roof versus siding.
Yeah, I think I requested, but I can double check for him on that too for you, Jerry. See it.
Just so that we could get something done
Yeah,
as we figure out the budgeting process.
I'm just gonna say, if I have a picture of whatever that's gonna be, that's more than enough, I don't need to see a sample. I know I'm in the minority on there, but I feel compelled to say that right now, so.
sure.
Okay, we go with that. Sorry, 6H, Gretzmacher little library design.
So I wanted to bring this back. I have, thoughts on it, but I kind of left it almost a year ago. I think it was January since we revisited it. And I think we really need to wrap it up and order it so it can be installed in spring.
Sure.
I'm going to paint it.
You're gonna paint it? Okay.
Okay, do we have a real
I'm
design?
gonna-
I did
If
find a
you go
design.
to shop littlefreelibrary.org.
Me too. Did you pick the schoolhouse?
No,
Oh,
I picked the biggest one they had.
well, this one's big.
How big is that?
But she was a teacher.
There wasn't, the schoolhouse was tiny.
Hey, Tom, did this one? Did you see this one?
Look at this, 2 shelves, double doors. This is gonna be
This one.
downtown.
Mike,
Oh, Nate's got the same one.
There you go, there's.
This one is
That'll
much
get you a QR code to get you to
I
that.
like this one with the arch and the shingles to match the
I'm out.
gazebo.
I'm excited about it.
Okay, I also think that we should just entrust staff to do this and let's not have the.
No,
come back again.
and she's painting it.
Did everybody read the reviews? Because I would like to take, because even though this was the biggest one, if you read the reviews, there was one that said it's not as deep as the other ones.
Oh,
And so, and when Marge talked to, I think Julie or somebody, some children's books are quite large. They're tall or they're short and they're long. So I would like to ask Marge, I picked 3. Obviously, there was the biggest one,
The 2-story one?
yes, which was called the Double Door Shed Unfinished.
Did you get a composite one?
There was a smaller one, the 2-story shed unfinished, and then there was the double door cottage. So I would like to bring the dimensions to Marge. They're, granted, the other 2 are much smaller. But her concern is getting children's books that fit in there. And so as much as I would like the biggest one going to be in our waterfront park, she may not like that.
Why not do composite? So the double door
I
cottage,
can't paint it.
I know you can't paint.
I
it,
also
but
think-
It's gonna last a lot longer.
To Marge, what's way more important is what it looks like is what's in it. That is far more important to her. And that's what she has said to me many times we've talked about over the last.
That's why I like the double door, it's adorable, but I think it should be composite, because of the, it's up to you, but you don't have to keep repainting it. And it comes in some nice colors. What's the name of that website?
Little free library.
Yeah. By the way, Little Free Library started in the state of Wisconsin, in case anyone would like to
Really?
know.
And they,
Yes.
if you, I don't know if you read, but all of these unfinished ones come from the Amish in western Wisconsin.
Holy cow. So did the composite ones, I'm just kidding.
And so we wanna make sure that it's water resistant or watertight, that's a big thing with the little libraries. Make sure they seal, or the books will be no good.
I don't know that there's any guarantee.
Okay, this one fits a 15
Yeah,
inch.
I just know that was when, the one that I had,
Oh, that would be.
bookmarked or whatever, was supposedly water resistant, so it's something to just keep in mind.
That's why.
Because we had talked about, having it very artsy, like Marge's tennis shoes, right, Nate? And so that's why I think that we need to paint it.
What about this light blue color? Pretty, composite, light blue.
As boring and ugly, and that is not Marge.
And this is why staff did not.
I'm exiting this conversation.
How about
Let's
this?
go on record.
I
that
will-
Composite with 12 inches of snow will last longer than.
I do know that. I will show her the composite one also, and if she's not busy. After my stomach stops growling, I go home and eat something, I will see and go over there this afternoon.
But I like this one. It
It's some of
says,
the composite material that you can paint.
there you go. But it does hold 15 inch tall books. The one that double one you, that's a kid's book.
I mean, I was really a little disappointed on their website, and if you blow it up. The unfinished kits, you can see some of it's not even, it's rough. Ends of plywood. You can't seal that, you can't paint that enough, you can't.
What I've noticed with them is you really get what you pay for, there's some out there that were $600-700. They were much different than the other ones.
These are 450-ish.
Yeah, which is better. Some of them were small, like you said, Denise, when you start reading the dimensions, they were small. But they had like the flimsy hinges, which were gonna rust, they weren't water resistant. When you start looking at all the factors, make sure you can get a good, big book, water resistant. A number of books in there, they really went up the price. But that's okay, we have the money
Right.
in our recognition funds.
Right.
It seems like there's consensus to, and Denise, talk to Marge and have her pick one of the three. and
I
get
agree,
that.
I think it is
I'm
consensus.
gonna get there.
Because
One of the four.
One of, I remember, because if this comes back here again, I'm going to change my mind and be against
Now-
how much that.
What I will ask is that, what was? Oh, the plate. I would like us to have her name on the plate, which is an additional fee.
Yeah, it's like $75 and you can get 3 rows.
I
It's
think
nice,
we
I mean, I don't
just
like the
need to,
silver
in
finish.
honor of Marge
Yeah.
Butzmacher.
Great idea.
It's nice. I don't like the silver finish on it, but it's like a pewter finish, it's okay. But
Does
it's
this
nice
thing
and
come with a
it's weather
post?
resistant.
No, we have to buy a post.
Okay, you guys are planning on buying a post, or you don't want us to make one, or?
Well, I'm thinking if the posts are made for the,
That's what I'm thinking too.
that would just be
Yeah.
easier to get it.
Denise, isn't that also the site of our old, or very close to the site of our old library?
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there. Should there be a placard that talks about the old historic library and then this little library is in memory of Marge Grutzmacher, who once ran a bookstore?
And I'll let the historical society.
Keep
worry.
that all separate.
That could be
Okay.
part of the signage stuff that we're doing, right?
That library, I mean, it was. I guess everything can be historic, but I'm not so sure that building was really historic.
Well,
But it was
the
our
first
only library, wasn't it?
Was it the first library?
It was here when I got here, I don't know,
Well, that's a long time ago, Nate, so.
I realize that.
Was it here in the forties, the fifties?
But it was our work.
Ask Marge, she'll know.
Well, she may or
She
may
wasn't,
not.
she may
know.
not.
And I wouldn't want to diminish the recognition of Marge.
Yeah,
Right, I
let's-
mean, right now, it's recognizing her and only her. Great.
Okay, so Denise is gonna take care of finding it, painting it, et cetera. You just let us
I'm
know.
just
we're
gonna
gonna
let you know
order it,
which one and you guys can order.
And then we give it to you to paint it, and then you're gonna give it to Eric to put it up. And then we're going.
I'm not an
to-
artist. This is not
Now
going
she
to
tells us.
It'll
be,
look great.
but I can probably paint some flowers and rainbows and butterflies.
Beautiful.
I even do a portrait of Marge.
Yeah.
Okay, and
I
then I,
might do, oh gosh, a picture of her cat, if Jennifer.
you know what I was thinking, she loves Beatrix Potter. I was thinking Beatrix Potter.
Well, she loves Dr. Seuss too.
Okay,
Here we go.
anyway, so just a note, once it is erected, I think we should get a picture of Marge in front of it and do a press release, because we were always gonna do a press release and we never did, so.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Just don't forget
You may
that.
have to superimpose Marge in front of it. Look up. Anyway, okay, thank you. Yay, we got one thing. I'm looking down the list. We have one, no, the binoculars too. Okay, we are on to 7, staff report and board update. So we're looking at Eric's staff report. Does anyone have any questions? How did Captain Spirit go?
I thought it went, very well.
Right,
We had a good turnout for that.
did you? Good.
It was a lot of fun.
Ellie, what?
Everybody showed up really close to light time.
Yeah. It was
No.
cold.
So cold the last couple of years, we might start serving hot chocolate a little bit later, because it's brutal on our volunteers
Yeah.
to stand out there for 45 minutes before anyone wants to come and have hot chocolate.
Yeah.
But
I stood with you.
You did.
For like at least 45
I
minutes.
think you were like laughing at me internally with my unruly children.
I do have a question. So under current administration building and Triangle Road project,
So run the administrative report now, you guys.
did you have the engineers stop doing work?
I was told at the board meeting. That.
Well, you were
the-
told by one member.
You said that at the board.
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
Julie
I
says
just
that.
got
I'm gonna
that.
stop
Remember
this right now.
Saying that.
Yeah.
I didn't,
And
I don't
then-
think we should, but that's what
Stop
she
doing
said.
it. If there's a chance that if it's gonna go a different direction,
We
I
did,
think it's,
no,
okay.
but she stopped, we stopped.
We stopped,
Yep.
yeah, my understanding was, so I'm like, so I'm gonna tell the engineer, we gotta stop then, and. There was kind of a, yeah, well, there was no other direction, so I did tell her. And she said, when will you know? And I said, I sure hope on the 16th. I said, they've gotta make a decision pretty soon on this. So we'll see what happens on Tuesday.
So.
We could move,
We could what?
move it. The concern is like, tearing the building down. And we did discuss moving it
You did?
at Parks. We
Right.
didn't discuss ripping it off, we did tearing it down, we discussed moving it. I even asked Paula, because she loves moving buildings, and we could move it.
But that was in the minutes that we talked about moving.
We did make our recommendation. It went to the board last time.
Yep.
They didn't go that route.
Oh, no,
No,
Am I wrong?
oh, no, it didn't go to the board as, they just read it in the
It was in the
minutes.
minutes, it was a response.
It wasn't
to
an
the minutes.
agenda item, it was a response to the parks minutes from last month.
Yep.
So. You know, I've been pissing and moaning about this for months and months and months now. But it has to be resolved.
Yeah.
How, not this particular subject, is
Oh.
not what I'm talking about. How do we resolve this? How do we resolve the committees in the board? How do we see the same vision? How do we get consensus? Because we're all spinning our wheels. we're spending lots of money backtracking, redoing things. Taking a left when we took a right before, however you wanna sum it up. How do we fix it?
Well, so you're referencing the admin building and now
Just
the triangle.
even small things that go to the board.
So I
It's not
think the
just
question you're
big
asking though is
things.
bigger than this committee,
Yeah, I
right?
think
Because
that's-
you're kind of questioning, you're saying, hey, if I want to make sure I understand Denise, so correct me if I'm interpreting this wrong, but we may not agree on things, but we vote and make recommendations as a committee, which we did in this case. It either went to the board or it didn't, or the board didn't accept it. And you're kind of questioning, how do we get to a point where there's better alignment between the board and the committees about the recommendations coming from the committee? Is that what you're, and I think if that is what you're asking, I don't think the committees can resolve that. All we can do is keep working on the best recommendations we can come up with as committees and give them to the board. And they're gonna have to work through whether they accept them or not, I think. I don't know how this committee fixes
Well,
it.
it'd be nice, I don't know if we can ask the board for it, but to get some feedback from the board so that we can make a decision that's in their general direction, because it seems like an open loop right now where we discuss something and make a recommendation and then it's disagreed with the board or shot down on the board, and then we end up in this months and months and months cycle where nothing's happening, we're missing deadlines, we're missing grant opportunities because there isn't a good board telling us as a committee, here's the parameters that we want you to work in and that we'll accept so that we can go and work within that.
I think some of it is training on how to be a good board member too, because you have to remember, you may lose sometime, but you still have to support the position. So I'll just use an example. You may not like the way a vote went. You didn't get your way, but as a committee member, you have to say, I lost that one, but you still support that decision and you move it forward. You don't then try to sabotage it, you know, and I think sometimes people feel that's happening a little bit on stuff. So I think it creates some division.
I think that's looking for the worst in people, and I think the reality is we're all independent minded. This committee is, and we make decisions, to your point, we vote on them and we have to stand by the decisions we make, whether we voted for them or against them. Then it goes to another body, the board, which oversees all of us, that they're gonna make their own independent decision, and I think they're allowed to do that. That's just the way the process works. And it's not just, sometimes this board makes, or this committee makes decisions, the word gets out in the community, and these board members take calls and have conversations with the community that help them determine how they're gonna vote. There's nothing wrong with that either. And so we might make decisions that other members in the community don't like, and they might blow in the board members' ears. So I'm not discounting what you're saying, Julie, but I said that's not the only thing that happens.
But yeah, I can
Yeah.
definitely
So-
didn't imply that.
I think that there's a discussion we had with the board hearing. I mean, like, the reality is, these are recommendations that go to the board, so the board's gonna change its mind. I think it's probably happened a number of times in the last year. It's been probably jarring for you, because you're used to everything that comes from parks going through there. That's gonna happen from time to time now. I don't know what the
We're
board's
just
gonna
thinking
say
if
to
we
that,
could
but-
steer, if the board could give recommendations to the committee to give us better guidelines so that we could make a more informed decision and not, you know, board is set on red and we say blue, and of course the board's gonna reject it because they never told us red. Kind of thing.
I hear you, but it's kind of like our responsibility to come up with unique ideas and maybe give the board a perspective they or their membership exclusively doesn't have. So
Well,
I'd be a little
I
nervous
agree with
about the
that.
board. I'm just saying the part I'd be nervous about is the board or the board members here kind of instructing us as to what the board wants to see. And us making our recommendations fit their prescription.
I mean, I would prefer to just operate independently and us
Yeah.
to make a decision as a body, but it's resulting in a lot of churn and a lot of lost money for the village as you know, we miss opportunities, and these projects that the village needs take a horrendous amount of time, and I'm just looking for a way to like make that process
Yeah, I
more
hear
efficient
you.
somehow.
I think the committee does a really good job following the plans, so like a board adopts a plan. Then we have to work to implement it, and I think it's worked really good that way. I think the committee is coming up with the ideas and what they feel implements the board's plan and vision. But sometimes, then boards change. And they may not be familiar with the vision. Previous board, so get the direction.
Something I've brought up a number of times in the last 3 or 4 months has been a strategic plan. The village board has got a comprehensive plan, which is a 20-year plan, but it doesn't have a strategic plan. And that's something we really need to have. Because so often there's individuals speaking and setting directions. We all have to speak as a board, and if we're all speaking on the fly as a board, well, it's going to change direction a lot, where we need to have that cohesive plan. So that we're coming up with this direction that we're going as a village together. So I think that's the best thing I can say, that I'm not, I see what you're saying, Jerry.
Is that a future agenda item for the board though, to help provide that strategic direction? Where does that come from?
That would be a board process. So likely, how I've heard a lot of folks do it is for the first one where you don't have one, you have an outside entity come in and help you come up with that first one. And then every time there's an election, you update that strategic plan. Because directions and priorities do change election by election. It's a very real thing, and that's gonna continue to happen in the future. I mean, change is the only thing that is constant. But that is what I believe is gonna have a bigger impact on what you're perceiving, Jerry, than anything else we're gonna do. I mean, we could talk about it on the board, maybe you'd like that, but I think that strategic plan to say, no, this is what we want. Because sometimes in the absence of a direction, in absence of a plan from the board, well, the parks is coming up with, okay, well, this is what we think we should do. And then the board saying, no, I don't like that. Well, we do need to come out and say, okay, well, we want to go do blue. Okay, parks, help us do blue the best we can.
Then parks can say cyan.
And then, yeah. So that may not be the answer you're looking for, but that's what I perceive the best solution. And it's not something that happens overnight.
But is it something that you believe the board is working towards right now, or is it more?
I mean, I've been working on
seed to
a
be
couple,
planted?
it's something that'll almost certainly get talked about in January. I think there's an opportune time to do that.
Well, and my perception too is that there's a third participant, and that's our taxpayers. And I would say that they had there was a huge outcry from our taxpayers after they got their last tax bill. And after they got their last tax bill, it was a big surprise, and that initiated, some changes and some, stopping and taking a look at some things, and a lot of, why are you spending money on this? And you need to, and that was unique, I would say. That doesn't typically happen, at least not here, but it did, 2 meetings in a row. And so that initiated some of, as it relates to the administration building, without a doubt. And since then, the Parks building has gone up. And a lot of feedback on the Parks building, which it's very pretty and it's very big. And that was a lot of money, and so it's all so easy to play Monday morning quarterback, isn't it? So, and so maybe that will encourage people to be more involved from the beginning, I don't know. But we cannot ignore the third most important part of this, which is our residents / taxpayers. And then we always say, like, where are you? Why don't you give us some feedback? Why don't you? And in one of these cases, they did. And some of the results of their feedback and, some concerns, resulted in one project, being waiting on a project and having it take much longer than anyone would have expected. So I just think we should always, take that into account. And if it's a strategic plan, if we're gonna do I agree, we need to do one, it shouldn't necessarily just be board members. But that's just me. Anyway, back to this.
Back to the staff report.
Yes.
So,
back to the staff.
so a lot of this is just kind of to bring, so Ben is aware, hey, what were the big issues we have, what's left to do and stuff like that. So, I'll just add a couple things we talked about today to that.
So
list.
before we move on to the triangle project, what Is there something else we need to do as a committee, or is it kind of
Well,
stalled with the board and we need to wait for the board to
The triangle
decide?
project? Well, it's also stalled waiting to see what those 3 or 4 properties want to happen with their driveways. So we had some properties that had very non-conforming driveways.
Well, I thought we had a recommendation there, but was that?
Yeah, but it hasn't come back to the board yet. We're waiting on what Julie was talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, so the people have to tell us, leave it non-conforming, put the curb around it, or no, fix it at this time. So we'll wait, and I asked them to get back to me by December 14th, I think. it is. So between that and waiting for the board to discuss it on the 16th. Jennifer should be able to pick up right after that, I would hope. Because whatever the people, my understanding is, if I recall correctly, whatever people said they wanted to do with those driveways is what we were gonna do.
Yeah,
So if they said leave it non-conforming, she's just gonna be
Yeah.
fine with that.
Yep. And the Knowles Nelson,
The encumbrance.
yeah, so
So,
waiting on the appraisal, right?
right, and I spoke with him on Friday or Saturday. And we've had some real issues. I don't think the DNR has ever had an issue like this because he can't get clear direction. And I finally said to him, I said, you know what? Just appraise it as a parking lot. Assume that you're including the driveway, because the property that's encumbered doesn't have a driveway, so really you're assessing a landlocked parking lot. If you're just gonna do the appraisal on the property affected by this encumbrance. But that doesn't make sense, because of course you have to access it. So I said, include the driveway, even though it's village property. And because the DNR wouldn't give, guidance on what they wanted to see on. And he's like, Julie, what do you want me to do? He said, we're not getting any answers. And I kind of said, you know what, we need this done. Assess it as a parking lot, and we'll go to the DNR. We will tell them this is what the value was. And I do believe the DNR is gonna be okay on that, because they've been a little, I don't wanna say wishy-washy, but I get the impression, and so does our appraiser, that they've never really run into this issue before, and they're really not sure how to guide us. So he's gonna finish that up, and then I don't know when you'll have that, hopefully in time for your next meeting, so you can start making some decisions.
Not the December meeting, January.
January.
Yeah.
Oh, parks.
Yeah,
Next parks.
well, we're at December 1, okay. Okay. Anybody have any questions on Julie's report?
No, I'll put that, I did get the post office contract back at 2:30 today.
Okay.
So what's the next steps on that one?
That'll go to board in December.
Okay.
And then don't forget, there was some other stuff with that too, that we have to make sure that it's those recommendations that came out.
Yeah. Yeah, but we had to pull off the auto renewal and then that's what. Come back today.
And as far as, I did look into the Park and Rec District, that was my job.
Yep.
And it would have to be for more than just Sister Bay. We would, for it to be practical and for us to, spend money on a legal opinion and so forth, I think we have to include some other municipalities.
Well, and I know we had talked about that, when we first talked about the Park and Rec District, was having to be a northern door. Park and
So
Rec
it would be
District.
Liberty Grove and
Gibraltar, perhaps Bailey's Harbor.
Valence, yeah.
I know I've seen those, I think I told you guys, with a library and sometimes you have like emergency services districts. I just wasn't sure if it was legal, in Wisconsin anymore to have a specialty district like that. That was the big question on that.
I looked it up on under Wisconsin, I think it's legal, but getting a village and a town and a village and a town together as a park district, I don't know, we'd have to ask Randy.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be done. I'm not sure if it's still legal. That was the big concern. So,
Okay.
yeah, Randy could,
Mhm.
and I think I asked Randy at one time, you might be better off asking the league, or, start with Randy,
Okay.
but he may refer you.
Because the question from the other municipalities would be like, what's in it for us and.
Well, I think we'd also have to know what, if the other municipalities are even interested. 'cause
Right,
otherwise-
well, they're gonna ask us what's in it for us and.
Well, then we can say, well, we can figure that out.
Yeah.
Talk about the ice rink.
Mhm. Okay. Anybody else?
For the 57 trail, there's a whole bunch of digging happening. On the west side between Orchard Drive and the Shoals where that trail is kind of. And this says it's just an engineering, what is that digging?
No, that's for the sewer lateral for Kill Mechanical.
Oh, okay, so that's sewer.
It's just on each
Nothing that
side,
would,
right?
nothing that would preclude the trail there.
Okay. Okay, anybody have anything? I had actually, this is, maybe, well, I can ask this after the meeting is closed. Matters to be placed on a future agenda. There are a number of them. So bench policy, rental fees, pickleball policy, we already figured that one out, never mind. Facility rental fees, old storage building.
Inviting Sharon.
Sharon. Grunzmacher, I don't, that's kind of done, right? We have to bring that back.
No, you're,
That's done.
well,
Excellent, okay. That's what I think the GIS map, I don't know if that comes back again, but we wanna look at how to, who owns it, how it's managed, and that stuff, but for later.
You know, Louise, just a comment on that, and that's a tool that staff is using, we've worked through it, I think my goal was to show, hey, look, we've got this tool, you guys, if you wanna know where these maps are, or benches, we can quick run it. We wouldn't want this committee who's not experts in GIS to guide that stuff. So,
Okay.
I think we just have to know that that tool is out there, and I did want Megan to show you, so we are aware, we wanna do something, if you wanna know, hey, where in the village are the roads less than 10 feet wide? She could look, and she could tell you, where are all the stop signs, or how many, we wanna replace all our road signs with XYZ, well, how many? I can tell you exactly how many we have, Eric knows they're $30 a piece, boom, we know, so it's just a tool to help us get better.
There's some other things on Julie's admin report that would be, maybe not the next meeting, but the meeting after, live Pebble Beach. And, excuse me, the donor flag, Park and Rec District, but. I'll have
Yeah, that
those.
donor plaque, I think we just kind of like the little thing, we just keep looking
Yeah,
and then, Pebble Beach, I really think you need to just wait and see what happens with that Knowles Nelson right now. Because that's your big funder on that project, and if we don't have that.
when is the stake on that, when are they?
Reach out, no, I thought I would see some responses on that already, but I haven't.
Well, you have to put your budget together pretty soon, I mean, go at it, you get it done. Was
Yeah,
there
but
funding?
it's the legislation part.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll keep watching.
Or. Okay, next meeting, to Julie's point, our next meeting is on January 5th, which may not be ideal. Because that is our new administrator's first day. So would anybody be okay with, instead of doing it on. Let's see, that would be Monday, January 5th, if we move it out to. The 12th, would that be all right with
What if we
everybody?
just wait till February?
Everywhere?
as long as we don't
Anyone?
have twice the long agenda in February.
I'll just. Take some stuff off.
I think with me gone, there's, hopefully they get later for you. A little bit of a taskmaster sometimes, I get it.
All right, so.
Because even, I mean, any meetings for the new administrator and trying to meet everybody in staff and getting the feel or whatever, I mean, it's just.
I totally agree about that too. All right, is everybody okay with moving it to February, not having a January meeting and moving it to February 2nd, which is a Monday?
That works for me.
Consensus, everyone? Yeah. Okay. One thing I wanted to mention too, we have personnel tomorrow, and we are gonna do it, put together the onboarding policy, and one of the members could not come in person. Her daughter, it's Bridget, her daughter got messed up with the snowstorm. So she can only do it remotely, so the whole meeting will be remote. Appreciate anybody who wants to come and listen to what we're gonna talk about in terms of onboarding, and there's a few other things that'll be discussed, but the whole meeting is gonna be remote, Zoom. If anybody wants to attend.
What time is that tomorrow?
It is at 11. 11, right, yeah, 11. Okay, motion to adjourn,
So move.
vote, no, second,
Second.
all in favor?
I,
Didn't make an hour.
Denise.